W. Hell yeah. Ready. Green. What the copy? Right foot down. We got to go, Brad. Unbelievable, man. Way to keep your head in it. Holy oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. What? Yeah. I'm done with it. Fix your face. Set sail. Steve, you look beautiful. Look great. Oh, ridiculous, man. Holy. You see that? Holy cow. Good job, man. Two times, baby. Yeah. Holy crap.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to NWP Season 6, Episode number 2, hosted today on DannyBTalks right here on YouTube. I'm joined today by Jarrett Lundberg, the Iceberg, along with Darian Gilliam, aka Black Flags Matter. You'll notice we are missing a regular. We do not have Eric Estep on tonight. Unfortunately, things come up. Still enjoying his time out in Los Angeles. Understandable. Have a good trip, Eric.
Hi,
and
Eric.
We'll see you next
Hi,
week.
Eric. He's watching us somewhere.
But in the meantime, MTJ, Martin Truex Jr. takes the win at the Busch Clash. I don't think any of us had predicted that, or did someone predict that and I'm not remembering it?
I don't think any of us did. I'm wondering what hot take people have about that, if any.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I want to start with, let's just start with you, Jarrett. What is your biggest hot take after this race?
Oh, well, I'm gonna preface this right now. I have reasoning behind it. All right, I have reasoning behind it. It is not because I'm crazy. All right. So my big hot take is this. I think the Clash at the Coliseum is honestly nowhere near as broken as people think. I actually think that a few quick little fixes and it will damn near be the perfect exhibition race. So I say this because, and we'll talk about what we liked and didn't like about the Clash. I say this because all of the problems the Clash had when it came to the racing product were easily avoidable. Whether it was too many cars, whether it was procedurally when it came to not counting caution laps, whether it was time windows and start times, because we'll talk about numbers in a bit that the viewership honestly could have easily been salvaged. I think that the Busch Clash at the Coliseum, with the lessons learned from the first one and the second one, because of how much better, because they were able to pass more, that the racing was, I think next year this event will go off much better if NASCAR and the networks learn from their mistakes, and I think it's close to perfection at this point. We just need to see those changes.
Darian, what's your hot take?
Oh boy, you know what really grinds my gears from the last weekend? NASCAR fans already returning to midseason form, not even a few races in. I mean, I get it. The Clash did have some chaotic moments and some moments that were pretty stupid, like during the second half when all of a sudden everyone forgot how to race all of a sudden. Now, it was inevitable that rule was going to backfire of no caution laps counting on such a short track like that. But fans, come on, lighten up here. The race, for the most part, I thought was pretty good, especially the first half. Hey, congrats to MTJ. He gets the victory. And everyone bugging out over the rating, of course, and we'll get to that later on. But you have to remember, and I know that, yeah, there's some other factors that definitely factor into this, but compared to last year's championship race, the Clash cleared it. So by a bit of a wide margin. So it's too early for fans to panic here. Everyone just relax. And the season hasn't even officially started yet.
Ding.
My biggest hot take that I want to talk about is Darian just said the season hasn't even started yet, and Fox is already making me cringe. And I don't like it when I'm cringing this early. Whoever decided to get that comedian guy to just be there to plug his show, that was so awful. And I cringed so much listening to those driver instructions. Don't get me wrong. I kind of like the idea of doing them in team fashion. Gets it done faster. And it's kind of cooler to see the camaraderie of the teammates there. But the presentation from that guy, nah. And then another thing, Fox, why did you not want to pick up any fan audio? At some points, it felt like the place was a ghost town because I couldn't hear anyone like cheering or anything. You know, I get, wanting to have your microphones linked up to your talents, but I also want to hear what's going on there. I'm not there in person. I want to get that feeling like I'm at the track. And I just felt like that was missing. and I hope that that's something that we see for the Daytona 500. I want to see people watching on TV be able to get that same feeling of being at the track. That's my biggest hot take. Yeah, that's my hot take. Fox not off to a good start.
And really quick, Blue Jimmy 48 fan. Actually, I personally didn't mind Gwen Stefani in the booth there. I mean, she had some pretty decent chemistry, I think. So
it was a subject matter. It was the fact that it's the fact they started going off. And granted, it was funny, like clowning on Clint Boyer, saying how he's drunk. But going back to, I think it was, they said in the chat, Joel McHale. I used to watch Community, and he wasn't even the funniest part of that show. Like, honest to God, he really wasn't. And he has not been funny really since then. Kyle Harvick?
Yeah, I was about to say Kyle Harvick. Oh, and also don't forget Front Row Sports, not Motorsports.
It was not their best day, but there was a few positives. But we'll start with the biggest positive, and that was MTJ returning to winning form and to start the season off. Jarrett, what do you think about MTJ's performance this past Sunday overall?
I'll say that it looked like old Martin Truex Jr., but at the same time, I can't take much stock in it so far. I need how should I say this? I need Truex to prove in a normal points race setting, when it is a not made for TV show, that he can do the same thing. Now, the car was fast. The Toyotas looked pretty fast at different points. Honestly, the guys who really were crafty old veterans for the most part, they seem to be able to move up through the pack. But I have to say that, it is good to see him up there like that. I am wondering with him whether or not he rebounds or not. So for me, watching into the season, can this be replicated? Because we've seen it can and it can't. Because if you remember last year, Joey Logano won and he won the championship. We got a perfect 1-for-1 on the championship on that. So, the trend of one race. But if you also remember, Cody Ware was one of the fastest cars in the heats last year, and he performed the way that he normally did after it. So I don't know. And that was, from what they said, a Rick Ware prepared car. It wasn't an SHR one, from what Rick Ware had said. So I'm interested to see how this translates to how he races during the season. But that's really my biggest takeaway of it is it did, for that small sample size, look like I'd say, honestly, just pre last year, Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah.
Martin Truex Jr., yes, obviously, congrats to him. I mean, technically, he still didn't break the winless streak because the race wasn't official. But, hey, he still won the race, though. Still a good victory.
Just like how Blaney technically didn't win, even though he was the All-Star winner last year.
Exactly. Technicalities. But anyways, Martin Truex Jr., I mean, he did win, but I was shocked. He only led a total of 25 laps. And honestly, he wasn't even the biggest surprise of the race. I mean, looking at the running order, too, I mean, obviously you have Austin Dillon in second and Kyle Busch rounding out the first ever NASCAR podium, I might add. And you're already seeing Austin Dillon benefit from having Kyle Busch as a teammate. In my opinion, Austin Dillon has never been a terrible driver, a pretty mediocre driver, in my opinion. And I think Kyle Busch might be the teammate that can help push him over the top. I mean, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. He might as well run better. Am I right? And then some other surprises include Ryan Preece. 43 laps led in total, but then unfortunately, he had mechanical failures later on in the race. Denny Hamlin, it felt like he was a little dizzy, right? Because he got spun out like 2 or 3 times, correct? Like
he did. But he rebounded. But I heard Denny Hamlin talking about it on his show this week, and he was just saying that it was a night and day difference. It's like you get below about 5th place, and it's just a demolition derby, and everyone's trying to hit you. And I know we'll talk about it in a bit, but Bubba, I know, had said that, like, the next gen issues when it came to getting hit in the rear bumper honestly are the same as they were last year, at least for what they experienced, if not worse. And I know Denny Hamlin talked about that like he had that, jaw clenching pain. So
that sucks.
That's something I think to watch throughout the season.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And then also, I mean, you just mentioned Bubba Wallace, a total of 40 laps led. I mean, if not for that final lap push, I mean, but also too, I mean, to be fair too, he was giving Austin Dillon the business there too. He was like forcing him a little bit. He was sort of forcing his hand. So I sort of understand Austin Dillon like just being fed up and stuff because I mean, Dillon was able to save it, but then Bubba just couldn't save it, unfortunately. But hey, Bubba wasn't angry. He was just, he's like, it's whatever. It's not for points, just for fun. But hey, it was good to see him run up front and he won the first half technically. So
Yeah.
that's pretty
And
promising.
then me, I'm going to give a shout out to this guy to not even have made this final show last year. Alex Bowman actually finishes the best of the 400 cars in fourth. And Chase Elliott, what happened to him? Like he was just bad from the get-go.
Yeah.
And Blaney, it seemed like they both were just getting involved in other BS. But also too, Daniel Suarez was another one who I thought would have done way better in this race. He was just pretty quiet. But a really quick shout out though. Because in the Ford camp, this is interesting. So unfortunately, Keselowski's cars didn't make the show, but then these two Fords did. Front Row Motorsports, Michael
Front Row
McDowell,
Sports, yeah, good job,
Front Row Sports. Yeah, Front Row
McDowell
Sports
supremacy.
Yeah, so but Todd Gilliland was also kind of, I mean, I don't know, he was like spinning out, he's getting involved in some mess during the race.
We'll talk about Todd Gilliland
Yeah,
later.
We'll talk
it
about
was
some
good
of this
he
other
still
stuff.
made the race. It was
But
good he still made the race.
There's still like I think more to talk about though. What I'm interested in another one is like just there's been I feel like there's been a huge debate this week of like entertainment versus racing. So like that's what I kind of wonder with you guys, and I have the question for you guys is like for this race alone, because I know Ben Kennedy, I think he had to and Darian, I think you can look this up on Twitter. He put like a 4 or 5 tweet thread explaining it.
I will pull it up. There was a lot of criticism around this race
because that's how like that's been the big debate I think ever since this was announced is like, is this ruining the integrity that NASCAR has, even though some debate that kind of stuff flew out the window. Is it something that fits with this market? But Danny, I'm interested.
Read it.
But yeah,
I'm gonna read it
in a bit. I want to know, Danny, because you were there last year. Like, how different is it from a normal NASCAR race?
It's different in a lot of ways. First of all, just the venue of how small that is, that you can literally see everything that's happening on track at one time. And don't get me wrong, I think that there needs to be a happy medium between sport and entertainment. Because if I'm not entertained of something I'm at that I spent hundreds of dollars to go to, what's the point of me spending hundreds of dollars to go again in the future? There is, and we've seen this, there's a place where entertainment can meet racing, and SRX is an example of that. I've been to SRX now 2 times, and both times I will agree with someone if they ask me, is it like a sports entertainment, kind of like in the same way that I enjoy professional wrestling. I go into professional wrestling shows knowing, hey, this is staged. They know what's going to happen, but I'm still going to be entertained as heck every time I go to one of these. Same thing with an SRX or a Clash kind of thing.
You say they have the script? They have the script?
They have the script. And the script is ready. Truex was happy reading the script. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's scripted, but I'm saying like they can, what's the right word here? I don't want to say manipulate.
Dramatize, I guess. They can
dramatize. They can build it up to be something. Now I will say, the first time I went to SRX, I did see them pull out a better car for Bill Elliott because they wanted him to look better with Chase Elliott. But that's as far as that as I've ever seen that go before. There's a happy medium that we can reach with these kind of events. To just say because it's new, it's bad. I don't know if anyone could do that per se. I don't know if I'm really saying this right. I'm trying my best to describe how I feel about this.
I think you're on the right track. I think you're on the right track. I think. Yeah, you're on the right track.
I don't know. It's such a weird topic.
See, because for me, I understood going into this because I think you guys remember better than anyone. Like when they announced it, I was like, hell no, this is stupid. Stay at Daytona. And I think I'm one of the people who got converted to actually really liking this. Like, if you're asking me, if I want it at LA for the next 3 years or go back to Daytona, I'm gonna sound crazy here. I'd rather go to LA than Daytona because one, Daytona Clash, if it's going to be during the day or it's going to be in a weekday or it's going to be thrown to the side, it's going to be a choo-choo train, then a wreck fest, and everyone's going to complain and nobody's going to watch as it was shown. Nobody's going to show up. At least with the LA Clash, you know, in a sense, what you're getting, and it's just a matter of, like, I think, I'll put this right here too, another kind of hot take. I think they put so many cars on the track so they can test to see how a points race would be with a ton of cars out there. And it was awful.
F minus. Like,
I will say the racing itself was not good in the second half.
You wanted to avoid a wreck fest. Well, guess what? We still got a wreck fest in this.
Yeah, absolutely not. No. Now, do you want me to read the thread that Ben Kennedy had put, or do you want me to sort of just paraphrase?
Just give me the bullet points on it, honestly.
Okay, I'll just read the first one. 1 of 4. I know there will always be differing opinions on our new events. As we've always said, some things will work and some things we will learn and improve upon. Overall, I considered the Clash a large step forward. We're in one of the largest markets in the United States, have the great support from our broadcast partners and media in promoting the season ahead, and many core and new fans coming to the event. So that's just like the first and part of the second one, basically. So he obviously saw the criticism. Some people were pretty loud. The criticism I saw, well, first when, before the racing even started, the criticism I was seeing at first was had to do with just some of the Fox pre-race show stuff. I feel like for the most part, people were they were definitely watching the the heat races and stuff. But my one issue with that is the way they promote this event to the public, because on Ticket Stub or
Ticketmaster,
these Ticketmaster, excuse me, thanks, Ticketmaster. It said the race start time was 5 p.m. local time,
Eastern.
That's
what it said. 5 p.m. They said 5. Well, it said local at one point. And then later on, it said 5 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, it was
so
weird.
Too local.
So basically, they only seem to promote the main event, it seems like, because whenever these heats are going on, it's like really empty. But then, like, even when the Clash was starting to, like, then you went back on Twitter and everyone was like, "Oh, look, it's not as full as last year." It's like, guys, put it into context though. Last year, the Super Bowl was in town. There were a lot more people in town, anyways. Okay, and it's not, and also too, coming from a diehard St. Louis / LA Rams fan, that's basically the same attendance the Rams had when they used to play at the LA Coliseum. So I thought overall it was a victory. But and then the funniest complaint of all, what do you think it is?
I don't know. Probably Wiz Khalifa. Something about Wiz
Khalifa. And then obviously Cypress Hill performing and stuff too.
Cypress Hill. I'm sorry, Cypress Hill sounded really old.
But
I'd rather have it than a country artist for the 10,000th time.
That was something I wanted to also put in my hot takes. Eric was right. That's all. I'll just leave it as that.
Like Cypress Hill, they're definitely past their prime, and I explained that too. But Wiz Khalifa though, like obviously parts of the, he definitely lip sync parts of it though. But
parts of it, he lip sync all of that.
He was, dude. But his interview with Shannon's fake though. That was freaking.
He was high as a kite.
Dude, she didn't know what to do. She was like, "What is this?" But nah, look, it's great that they're trying out new things and stuff. Not the same country music artists. But yeah, obviously the main part, the racing stuff, obviously needs to improve. I didn't think they needed 27 cars out there.
I'll ask this with the chat here. Napa Racing Fan 927 put old school Daytona 20-lap dash with pole winners is my answer. Would you guys want that, or how do you think that works? It seems
too short though. Like I don't think it seems like too short of a race for these teams to give it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's like
I know it's.
I'll argue on his behalf.
All right, go ahead.
So.
All right.
I think the way with the Clash, I think a lot of it is you do have to have it shorter because they're if it's longer than the duels. I mean, you watch the duels and they just ride around forever. They don't even they don't care about where they start for the most part. They find their place in line and finish, and that's how the Clash was. Like it was just single file. I mean, people will remember the Jimmy Johnson crash that he caused for his last win, points or non-points, but everyone forgets. I think that it was a single file line the whole time.
Yeah, Paul Menard dominated that whole class.
Yeah, the Paul Menard got robbed.
2020 was like a really even keel, just chill race, single file the whole time, and then all hell broke loose for the last 20 laps that they ran. So it's like you would have to have a shorter race to get the racing part of it, and I think you'd have to be at night. The only problem is that you've compacted it so much that Fox, especially in a year like this, they're not going to want any sport but the Super Bowl on. So, and I know NASCAR fans are like, I don't care about football, whatever, but they do. Like that's the issue, is that Fox does care about that, and now they've worked the Clash in to be like 2 weeks before Daytona as part of a marketing for everything, is what I've kind of noticed with. So I don't think there's that easy fix, but I will say that a 20 lap dash is the only way I think you could do it at Daytona, just because you could get them to race the whole time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's very true.
It's just a matter of, do the teams want to risk that? Because if they're racing for 20 laps, then obviously they're going to go all out, and then that's going to lead to big ones and stupid blocks and stuff. So what?
Side note.
I saw that.
We'll get to the Morty Super Jets later, but I agree with Hunter Nixon fishing on this one. I want Avenged Sevenfold to perform next year at the Clash. That would get me. That would get me and Jarrett back there.
They're performing at Daytona in May. I found out during the All-Star weekend.
Yeah, just keep rotating the artists. Yeah, different genres and stuff. I feel like at this point, if you're going to do it in LA long term, anything but country at this point for that specific event.
For that
if you
yes.
want to, yeah. I mean, but obviously
do it for Nashville, do it for Wilkesboro.
Yeah, obviously
like
you
that.
have to do it for those. Yeah, of course.
It makes sense there.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the next topic here. We've already got tempers flaring. And this subject is called rivalries galore.
Ooh.
We had AJ Allmendinger versus Chase Briscoe. We saw
practice.
Classic
in practice.
Yeah, in practice. We're talking about practice.
It wasn't even
practice.
Yeah, and I think Chase Briscoe seemed like he was like completely caught off guard. He's like, dude, I knew I bumped you and stuff, but damn it, just practice, bro.
And then also we saw some classics get revived here. Joey Logano and KFB. And then we also saw the Denny and Chastain show once again.
Of course it was
can't help himself. He can't help himself, dude. Dude, you already like you bumped him out of the championship 4 basically, and now you just want to keep wrecking him after all that happened. Like he just can't help himself. But nah, and it was a racing deal. But I mean, would he have done that to anyone else in the field? I don't know.
Oh, to be fair, he everyone back there was getting jostled up. I can't say that Chastain intentionally did that. Like I think even Denny said he didn't.
Well, there was one point that even during one of the heat races, like immediately people were blaming Noah Gragson for spinning someone. But I'm like, dude, he got bumped. So it's like that's like one of the only ways you can pass on this type of circuit.
So the way the circuit is, again, if there's too many freaking cars, that's the problem. But also some of it too was driver etiquette. I mean, guys diving in the corner knowing they're not going to make the corner. Nobody behind the top 3 or 4 cared. And so I will say I had a bit of issue with that. If it was a points race, I'd be livid. Like I would not like this if it was a points race, which I'm saying NASCAR, don't make this a points race.
Because if you were to make it a points race, you would have to stick to the same format with heat races and stuff since the track is so small. So then not everyone would get points officially.
No, they'd probably score it the way that they the score qualifying. They'd probably use the heats to score it. But at that point, then if you didn't race against those people, then you have issues with it. So that's I don't understand how you make this a points race, like feasibly with the rules for that race being so vastly different, because it's not like a double yellow line rule. It's not like that where there's a rule you can't go in a certain part of the track or track limits. It's not track limits on a road course side of things. Like this completely changes the entire structure of a race, which to be fair, I mean, they do that with stage racing anyway. So I guess there's some precedent, but it would be too vastly different. And I feel like you would then get that diehard fan base that you need to keep through the season even more mad about it. So I am completely off that train. If you guys have any feasible way of doing it, I do want to hear it. Give me if you do.
Before I play devil's advocate too, at the same time to your earlier points, NASCAR, I'm sure they agree with you after seeing what happened over the past weekend. The problem is though, is they desperately want to race in the market no matter what, whether it's a points paying race or not. So I think they obviously put that out there to get some initial reactions, and it was mostly negative. And then
it was
the
negative
product
from the
on
fans
track,
that matter.
yeah,
the
was mostly
diehards.
negative. Yeah. I don't think the casuals would really care as much, to be honest. No, they wouldn't really care as much. But yeah,
I would rather see North Wilkesboro become a points race and have the Coliseum become the All-Star race. That's what I would rather see happen. If we're forced to be in a place where we need LA to be a part of the market, but that's also saying the SMI has to go to the All-Star race, and I don't see that happening either.
Yeah, because they basically bent over backwards for Texas to have 2 dates to keep their 2 dates on the schedule. Why not change it up a little bit?
I'm gonna say it now. NASCAR puts these feelers out. They said stuff about the numbers moving, and the numbers moved.
And they
said stuff about changing to certain dates, and they did it. I'm not gonna be surprised whatsoever if come June, July, August, whenever they announce a schedule, that we're getting the Coliseum 300 lap electric boogaloo in the middle of the season.
I'll play devil's. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say. I mean, there's certain subjects that I might not like it. I might not be excited for it in the moment. But guess what? I'm still gonna watch it because I still like NASCAR, and I still basically have to keep up with it for what we do.
We're still gonna watch it no matter what.
Most fans don't have to. Like they don't have to keep up with it. Like
yep.
I think that a lot of newer fans will watch a Chicago street race. They'll probably have good ratings compared to most races, especially road courses. I wouldn't be surprised though if like heavier NASCAR markets are down in viewership because of it. I wouldn't, because that's the balance that NASCAR is making right now.
I wish there was more of a way to study, kind of like a stat that we can look at on our YouTube videos in the back end, is that, yeah, we can see how many views something has, and NASCAR can know how many views are on something. But within YouTube, I can see where people dip out, where they lose interest of a video, where they stop watching. And I'm curious if some of these, debatable races, they might look good on views, but is there a dip? Is there a place that they say, I'm out?
Actually, we can talk about that in a bit. They tracked that for the Clash.
Yes.
Yeah. I saw, and we'll talk when we talk about the ratings. I'll get to that. But I saw Cindy Yen. She does all the TV rating stuff with it,
and she was at the race, I believe.
Yes, because I think she's from around that area, and it was. I think a lot of it had to do with the start time, but a lot of it had to also do with the racing or lack thereof. But we can get to that in a bit. We can if you want to. We want to jump to the next little bit about the race before.
Yeah, and I've been running a poll here in the chat. If you guys haven't noticed that,
the poll.
Not that one, Darian. Calm down. It says, "Would you rather Clash Edition, LA Memorial Coliseum, or Daytona International Speedway?" Currently, we've had 180 votes. 65% of you have voted the LA Memorial Coliseum. 35% have voted Daytona International Speedway. So that leads us to ask, where does the Clash go from here? Back to LA? Most of you would say yes. Or would it go somewhere else? And what changes need to be made? Since the majority of you are saying LA Memorial Coliseum, I would personally still go with LA. It sounds like Jarrett would go LA. Darian, what would you do?
So since I don't mind playing devil's advocate here, I guess. Jarrett was playing devil's advocate earlier, so I feel like I might as well.
That was the basis of my channel.
But yeah, the only way I would bring it back to Daytona is if NASCAR would be so hell-bent on making this a points race that, okay, you want to bring the race back to its roots, then sure, we can, pick up Jarrett's idea and modify it a little bit too. Maybe not 20 laps, maybe like a go ahead.
No, go for it. But I will tell you, I have an idea. I have ideas.
Tell me the idea now. What is the format? What is the format for you, since you had brought it up?
My idea of it is you keep it 150 laps, you move the start time back an hour, make all the caution laps count, cut the field down from 27 cars to somewhere between 16 and 18. Because if you watch those heat races, when they had less cars, there were cautions, but they were able to spread out. And on top of that, I noticed this year there was way more passing throughout the race compared to last year where they were single file for much of it. So you're able to move through the field. You'd still, if you had like 18, you'd still have enough for some lap traffic because some of them are going to miss the setup. Like Chase Elliott on a lot of it, he had issues with speed, the front row cars at different points. I know as McDowell and Gilliland, they had problems. Gilliland had problems just with traction. He kept spinning so much, but
he was about to get dizzy according to Wally Dallenbach.
For me, it's simplify it. Simplify it to where you can stay in the TV window. Get acts though, like get people, musical acts that aren't peaking in the 80s or in 2010. It doesn't even have to be somebody who's peaking right now, but somebody who was popular, even in like 2018, 19. Like somebody who I could say, oh yeah, my little cousin who's a teenager listens to that person.
Wait, you don't want the TikToker? You don't want the TikTok singer?
I mean, from what I heard, people honestly didn't mind her, but
yeah, she didn't sound terrible.
Is the Daytona 500 laps? I probably sound so damn elitist to people who are just getting into NASCAR to say that.
I know. We're just kidding. We're playing.
Do not get me wrong. I realize that NASCAR does have to pay for these acts to come in. Someone said, get Taylor Swift. They can't afford Taylor Swift.
Hey, I got an idea.
They cannot afford her right
they're getting billions in a new deal.
Hey, I got an idea. Get Ice Spice. There you go. The chat's about to light up. Yeah, get Ice Spice, chat. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
I like looking at the chat though. I saw Jupiter Rain says get Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
I mean, like, just go all out, man. Just go outside the box. But in reality, though, I don't think fans have given NASCAR enough credit here for the absolute marvelous rebrand job they ended up doing with the Clash here already in the second year of the new project here. I mean, because Jared, we were at the final Clash at Daytona, the road course Daytona. It was awful, dude.
Granted, you also had the limited capacity too.
Yeah, and the finish was cool. We were right there. That was a good finish.
That was all that there was. It was so boring.
Yeah, that's
in
it
person.
though. That was it, man. Like, and how many people showed up though? It was limited.
Oh wait, hold on. So, yeah. Brandon Osborne has a good option because of the connection to NASCAR. What about Post Malone?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, he did the video with Bubba and Denny.
That would be a good one. That's still very much definitely like modern. And some people are even giving some alternatives to music, saying "Dude Perfect," so get them to come in and do like trick shots or something like that before the race.
That'd be cool if they do something pre-race.
That's in the vein of what Humpy Wheeler used to do when he would have like the school bus jumps and stuff. Like, bring some redneck fun to LA. Let's do it.
Yeah,
let's get Mr. Beast to hide $10,000 underneath 5 seats.
Oh, dude, that's gonna
would hit pretty damn well.
Actually, wait, that would do
that would do really well.
I'd buy a ticket.
I'd buy a ticket. I got a golden ticket.
That would make national headlines for sure, but not in the type of.
I'm Mr. Beast. I partnered with NASCAR. I've hidden 5 briefcases under 5 different NASCAR seats.
This is CNN.
I'm going to be real with you. That honestly would be a good selling point. And seeing how I believe he lives in North Carolina, NASCAR could probably call him in and like work out a deal.
I really don't know why they haven't collabed with him in some way at this point.
Hey, work out a deal and stuff, but obviously too, like we don't want people killing each other for money at a race too.
No, but at the same time, that would be something really crazy though. Is like you know how they do the 50-50 raffles or something, or they call out a certain row or seat or whatever. Like if you're going to go all out and make it that city normal, not racing sports arena, or as people like to call it, but actual sports arena atmosphere, go all out. Like that is what annoys me about the Clash, is that right now is that I do feel like there's a lot of half measures, in the sense that we want these musical acts that are different, but we get people who are too damn old for the young audience that you're trying to go for to think is relevant. Like I noticed, I saw David talk about it in his show and then talk about it on Twitter that he felt,
David Lamb podcast, by the way, amazing podcast.
That he was listening to Wiz Khalifa, and he had said that it reminded him of a freshman dance, and I was like, yeah, I feel the same way. And he was saying
that was my high school playlist, basically.
And he was saying like it's, if you want to get 18 to 24-year-olds, that's not going to work. And I'm like, well, I am 25, and that's what I heard at my freshman dance.
We're going up there. But yeah, no, I agree, man. I mean, like, it's already such a brand new rebranded event, you might as well just go all out with all the the new ideas. I mean, make it your test dummy. Might as well, Might
Go
as well.
nuts with it.
It's an exhibition. It's an exhibition race.
Use what you learned from this race for the Chicago Street Race, which will be a points race, which will be more watched. Don't do a freaking halftime show in that one. Leave that to non-points races if you have to do that, and go from there.
These are all some good ideas. I went ahead and ended that poll. 61% of 258 votes say that they should stay at the LA Memorial Coliseum. And I think we all did a pretty good job of suggesting some alternative ideas to get some more fans excited for it. I really like that Mr. Beast idea.
It's a really
NASCAR,
good idea.
There you go. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Let's get to the TV ratings. Jarrett, what do you got on this one?
All right. It was not as good as last year. But we're gonna look a little in depth on these because I believe it or not, I try to be positive. I am not a generally negative.
He tries
person.
his best.
I try my best.
Best,
I try my best and I fail a lot. No, we got a 2.02 rating in this one, which is 3.647 million viewers. Which I will say in our private chat when I had seen the overnight rate viewership. Do you guys remember I said, yeah, it should be somewhere between 3.6 and 3.7 million viewers?
Yeah.
That was my guess.
You were right on the money.
Yeah.
Right
So it was down 15% from 2022, but it was also the second highest, not 16th, second highest watch Clash since 2016. And on top of that, the race started with 3.9, almost 4 million viewers watching, which is identical to the way that last year started, which I have the numbers right here because of course I do, had 4.283 million as the total average audience. But throughout the late start time, which has been shown in other races like the Coke 600, made the viewership dive down to, I think, a low of 3.4 before going up to 3.6 at the end, which was around the average of the event. Of course, it went up against the Grammys, and it was 40 minutes out of its scheduled window. That's always going to screw with it. That's why I say move it.
Flag football.
Well, no, I think that ended before the race started.
Did it?
Yeah.
My bad. Sorry. The main event. Sorry about that.
So it went up against the Grammys, which I know that most NASCAR fans don't watch the Grammys, but I know that more casual TV viewers will watch.
It had, I think it had
almost
12
13 million
people. Yeah. So that casual viewer is obviously going to.
And I'm going to say this now because everyone's like, we lost to a flag football game. The Pro Bowl got 6.7 million viewers. The last time a Clash got anything close or over that was 2012. And that was a total different NASCAR. I'm not saying it's good. It is down. That's not a good thing.
But it's
the
still
attendance
up
was still down.
Yeah,
it is still a net gain. That's why I say I think with some fixes and working with the network on what the competition is against it, I honestly think the Clash is easily salvageable at this point. And I think a lot of fans are just trying to be negative because they don't like the idea of being in LA.
Yeah, because sorry.
I kind of agree with what Charles Peterson said here. He said, imagine if they ran it on a Saturday night. And for one, missed. I missed it when it was. I missed when it was a night race. It would just be on Saturday night.
But based on history, though, Jared,
so I did some studying on it, and do you guys know what the lowest watch scheduled race was last year?
Wasn't it Martinsville?
No, that one had rain. That one had rain. No, it was the Bristol night race.
Oh, okay.
The Bristol night race was the lowest watch scheduled race that wasn't affected by weather, that didn't have any kind of delay, that didn't have any kind of thing that was messing it up. And it was 1.766 million. It wasn't going up against any major college football game at the time that it normally wouldn't be against. It wasn't going up against the NFL.
Yeah, the season.
Yeah, that was a week. I know the Vols played like some rando school. They beat by like 60. So yeah, no teams was playing anyone big by then.
And before that, the year before, lowest watch scheduled race without any interruptions was the Richmond Saturday night race, which was that way since 2018. The lowest watch NASCAR races are on Saturday nights. There's statistically less viewers nowadays on Saturday nights than Sunday nights. Though Sunday nights, it has to be earlier in the evening, similar to what actually Nashville Superspeedway in Atlanta is doing. That's why I like some Saturday night races. I'm not like the biggest night race fan. I like going to night races because I don't burn alive like a lobster. But it's not feasible if they're trying to get the biggest TV audience, especially going into a contract year, to have Saturday night races. I know it sucks. I know fans want Saturday night races. I think that the best balance of this we can get is getting Sunday night races. You'll still get night races. NASCAR still gets the ratings.
It's kind of medium.
It's best of
It's
both
good
worlds.
medium.
I haven't even thought about this. Brandon Osborne brings up a good point. A lot of people who would watch NASCAR oftentimes can be found at your local short tracks, and they're not
The
gonna be able to watch
die-hard
it.
fans, yeah. I mean, I was at the fairgrounds too. The night of the Bristol night race. So I'm just saying. I mean,
just,
that's
if
where
you
the diehards are.
let's just say you had 50, I'm sure it might be more than that in America, 50 short tracks in America, and say they drew out 1,500.
No, like five or 6,000 even. Like
Okay,
5 or
yeah.
6,000. I'll
Yeah,
do the
let's,
math on that one.
let's say five or 6,000. You've got 50 tracks that do that, and let's say half of that number is NASCAR fans, and half are just like short track people.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. It would be 125 to 130,000 people, which is a noticeably, honestly, compared to what Sunday races do at that time of the year, especially, matches up.
Yeah, I mean, if it's on, I mean, if it's on and they're available, they'll watch it. But obviously, I mean, they gotta make a living as well, or they just want to watch local short track racing on a Saturday night too.
Which I don't blame them, honestly.
Yeah. With how some of these tracks are, we'll get to that later.
We'll talk about it later, but with the way that short track racing is being attacked in general in America,
enjoy it while you can.
I do not blame diehard racing fans for taking one night or two nights, because we only have 2 Saturday night races now, away from watching NASCAR to watch local short track racing and support their local short tracks. I understand that. NASCAR understands that. So
yeah,
because NASCAR even has their own like initiative set in place to preserve short tracks. So
yeah, and it's working in some places.
Without short track racing, there is no future for NASCAR.
Or it's a future all with pay drivers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's no Josh Berry without these local short tracks.
A lot of those pay drivers do need a place to start at too. So.
And these teams do need money as well too, but I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do.
That's our long-winded reasoning on the ratings. I'm like watching people in the chat that are like, "Holy crap, I didn't know some of this." I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad we're insightful in some ways."
And according to Nicky Man, yes sir, a booming real estate market in all caps.
I'll tell you what. If anyone knows the news that broke today, I might be joining Slap in the backwoods
in
tent.
The fights.
Yeah.
I'll be joining him in his revenge arc.
We're about to get Mountain Man Jarrett. But that does it for the TV ratings. I think really we just got to get to one thing, Darian.
Oh yes, it's back for the first time in season 6 of the
Watch
NASCAR
the levels.
podcast.
We got the radio edit.
Yes, the radio edit. The poll, the famous iceberg poll. Was that good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That was better.
I could hear you.
It's gonna be so hard. It's gonna be so hard not to peek out the mic, but I'll do my best.
He peeks out the mic right after the credits at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So I asked, what did you think about the 2023 Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum? Now, I will tell you this. This poll went up basically at 10:30 at night. I was live streaming when it went up. And so there was not as many viewers because there just wasn't much time. We had just under 10,000 votes for it. And I asked that question, and we got our answer. We had 10% saying that this was a great race. We had 45% saying this was a good race. Then 24% said it was average. 11% said below average. Then we had 10% saying bad. So bad and great, the two polar opposite ends matched up. Of course, we are much more of a lopsided positive base, but with only 55% of a net positive and 21% net negative, this is honestly one of the more negative polls that we have run in the history of this show. And then our first comment here. I'm going to ask you now.
I missed it.
Is it positive? Is it negative? Or is it a meme? And I will tell you. Do you want me to tell you who, or do you want to guess right away?
I want you to tell me who.
Yeah.
I want you to guess who really quick, because I have a feeling.
Danny delivers.
Nope.
Really?
He got beat by MVR owner. It's
wow.
an NVR owner.
This is a race full of memes. It's an unusual
It's a
race,
meme race.
so I'll go with meme. Yeah, memes.
Okay.
If he beat Denny, he had this ready and prepared. It's a meme.
He put it's actually 2 short paragraphs, not too long. I can read them. It's over. The Crash Festival is over. I hope for next year they shrink the number of entries in half, no more than 20. The funny thing is that I would easily watch the Clash again over the Pro Bowl because the Pro Bowl is becoming a joke and the flag football game is sadly what the NFL will become in about 10 years because they're trying to ban waste tackling, which I'll tell you now, they teach that in high school. So that's crazy. But this ain't the NASCAR. This ain't the Football Weekly podcast. He also then put like an edit saying, "Oh my God, I beat Denny Delivers."
And he just said in the chat, I honestly forgot what I wrote. So he even forgot about it too.
It's a good comment. I like it. It is a solid first comment to read of this year. We'll read a couple of the others one. I can't speak. English is difficult.
It's all good.
Isaac got the top voted comment. And he put, "It's a shame there were so many cautions in the second half because when there weren't cautions, the racing was really entertaining and fun." I agree.
In total,
fully
16 cautions in total, and most of them came in during the second half, unfortunately.
There was a stat that I read, and this almost completely takes us up through the 40 minutes that we went over the time window for the race. It took 25 minutes to complete 3 laps. Because the first lap of a restart, I believe it was it lap 69? Or it might have been lap like 89. It was something 9.
It's one of the later laps. Yeah,
I remember that. No, I think who cares? That's near here. Can't freaking talk. So it was like something 9 laps in. And then since the caution laps didn't count, they restarted with the same number of laps. And another caution came out that blocked the track, caused it to take longer for them to get re-racked up. They ran 3 laps and then had 2 cautions stuck on like we'll just say lap 72. That's why I'm saying I know they do it at local short tracks. Darian and Eric definitely know when I took them to my local short track.
That poor guy almost
ever.
That poor guy almost got killed though.
Yeah,
but that was bad.
That would have been avoided if they wouldn't have counted the caution laps.
Yeah.
But Darren, do you remember how freaking long? Remember we had drove from
at
Elkhart Lake
all day, right?
down to McChesney Park. Barely got there in time at 7. Remember, my whole family was there with us, and it started at 7 o'clock on the dot. With all of those different races. And because the caution laps didn't count, we didn't get out of there till 1:30 in the morning.
And the cup race was the next day.
Yeah, we had to get up, I think, at 7 the next day. Thank God that my grandparents where we were staying were only like 20 minutes away.
Thank goodness.
But
that was bad.
That was an issue with the way they formatted this race that I'm like, how did you not see this coming?
Yeah,
with
also
how NASCAR is now.
Also, too, another fun fact, it was 11 total cautions of the 16 that took place during the second half. Like, so all those laps, just all those caution laps that don't count, just being ran over and over again.
Me and Riss were watching it, and both of us were like, "Are you kidding me? Just race!" I'm like, "Screw it! Just go in a single file."
It was annoying, but you know what? I've come to this conclusion. What happened was the drivers must have gotten in Wiz Khalifa's stash for the second half of the race.
Oh gosh.
It was it was funny hearing Denny.
They started driving stupid all of a sudden.
From what some of the media people were even saying, apparently you could just like smell it wafting into the media center. So I think everyone got a little bit whether they wanted to or not.
Hey, when Cypress Hill came out, Eric said like, "Oh yeah, you could smell it right away." Hey, it's California, man. It's different.
Now we do have a couple others before we get down to some of the fun negative ones, which I have a feeling are going to be spicy this week, and I did not proofread them, so I'm proofreading on the air, and I will self-censor. Spencer though put, "Well, dang. What a way to start the season, but I am happy NASCAR is back. 75 years of NASCAR, baby. Let's do this."
Yeah, and I'm
It's
already liking the
crazy.
way I'm liking it. And also shout out to Lefty, bro. His NASCAR outro thing. So the outro we grew up with as a kid, he's now working on. He's doing his little graphic spin on it. So that's cool to see him
It's come a long
working
way.
his way up. Yeah, he's came a
Yep.
long way, man. Yeah, just from making paint schemes and my channel art too. And yeah, he's big time now.
So this will be one of the last top ones we'll read. Then I'll try and get some of the ones that are sort of in the middle of the fray. But Farkle 8000 said, Martin Truex Jr. goes winless last year, but wins the Clash this year. Other than a messy start to the second half, I thought it was a good race. Sucks that Priest fell back. Great rebound by Kyle Busch. And what a difference a year makes. Well, it is early, but yes,
It's too
different.
early.
Yes.
It's too early to tell, though, yo. I mean, hey, good first race, though. But let's wait for the points paying races.
Let's scroll down here a little bit. Marshall Griffin, but those cautions, though. Congrats, Truex, on finally winning again.
Yeah, good for him.
Let's see. Eric Sipes says, Ryan Priest going to do big things. If not for electrical issues, I think he was about to run away with it. SHR has them a future superstar.
Yeah,
maybe.
And also, too, go ahead.
I like where the 41 is now compared to where it was a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, I'm just gonna say this one just because I put a video out like this, just giving the notion of testing this, and I got flamed for it, so I'm gonna say it anyway. It's by like dislike. This is the future of NASCAR, a stadium series of all electric cars. Like I got a series meant for the electric cars. I'm only saying that just because I want to see the avalanche of comments about it. Well, let's go down to the bottom. Let's go down to the bottom.
Oh, yes. The juicy comments at the bottom.
Yeah. Which we did have a good amount. We had almost 300.
Team Penske fan says Eric's still in LA traffic, guys. Yeah. It's almost been a week.
Let's see. Oh, cool. Nobody said anything horribly bad, so I can read what they said. I will, again, preface for anyone watching that this is not me saying this. I want to get all sides of the story here. Gerald says, it was real bad. It should be in Daytona. Y'all are killing the sport.
Guys.
I mean, to be fair, you watched a lot of those issues, and I can understand like people being justified and not liking it. Like as much as I think it should be fixed, like I cannot deny that was embarrassing.
It's justified, yes, and without a doubt, certainly embarrassing. But I just feel like it's such an overreaction to say, "Oh, bring it back to Daytona immediately." Like not with these ratings coming in. Come on.
And it's definitely an overreaction to say the sport's dead.
Yeah. Like it's just one race, just one unusual race. Yeah.
NASCAR died when Dale died.
So
they stopped playing country music.
So Niley had put just that this race was really bad. I liked most of it outside of the stupidness and the start of the second part of the main, but I understand why people don't like it. I'm not going to admit, I'm not going to say that I don't get it or I'm just not going to sit blindly with it.
If the second half, if that's what killed the race for you, hey, I don't blame you. There were 11 total cautions during the second half. I don't blame you.
James says the racing is bad. What's to like? Ethan says awful. And the lowest
is a short track.
The lowest one was by Thomas Franco. He said heat's perfect. Main embarrassment.
Yeah, I agree.
Honestly,
the heat racing was
That's honestly the most lukewarm, lowest voted comment we've ever had. Well, yeah, there's that.
But yeah, so that will do it for the first poll, the first famous iceberg poll on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
What do we got now?
We are at the stage break. Sorry, I was just needing to check on something. Claudia just alerted me. The Tennessee men's basketball team lost to Vanderbilt. That hurts. And they lost by 1 with a last-second three-pointer that got Vandy to win.
You lost to a bunch of...
I'm hurt. We lost to the Brainiacs of Tennessee.
Yeah, you lost to a bunch of nerds, bro.
Well, you know what to make you feel better is the super chat stage break.
Yeah,
let's hear what people have to say.
True.
Let's hear what people have to say. I want to hear what the people have to say.
I've got my own timer here, so let's start here. Alex left. Appreciate the $5 donation. He said, "Sorry, I can't watch a live stream tonight. Gonna see Jeff Dunham, though. I still maintain Austin Dillon looks like Peanut." Oh, wow. Okay. Well, first of all, hope you enjoyed Jeff Dunham. he's very funny. He's got the one puppet, Bubba Ray or something like that. I don't remember what it was called.
I remember that one.
Antar Das, appreciate the $4.99. Over the last 15 years, list of drivers who went winless the previous year: won the Clash, Harvick in 2010, Kenseth in 15, Jimmy Johnson in 2019, and Truex in 2023. So he is now the fourth driver on that list. Isaac, appreciate the $4.99. Anyone's still going to be on Twitter, even if you have to now pay money to be on there. I know Elon is probably sick of BFM jinxing drivers, but good grief.
Kill it. Just destroy it. Destroy it. Destroy it.
Kill it.
I'll be on Twitter until it says you can't log on. So
yeah, until they kick me off.
I'm rooting for it to blow up.
And almost did today. NASCAR Racing Fan 927, appreciate $10 in honor of the 75th anniversary. What's your most favorite NASCAR race of all time and your favorite NASCAR memory from that race? For me, the 1998 Daytona 500 and every member of every crew congratulating Dale. That is a very hard one to beat.
Well, and I'll say this, I have the newspaper hanging on my office door from that race and the Daytona newspaper. Yeah. So
and also too, I got some programs from those some of those historic races, which include Dale Jr.'s first career win, Dale Earnhardt's last career win. I'll
say though, my favorite race, for anyone who knows me, 2012 Michigan. I went, saw Dale Jr. break the 4-year winless streak with my mom. I'm not ashamed to say I bawled my eyes out. 14-year-old me did. But that was probably my favorite NASCAR memory. That and then second, just for the history of it, seeing Jeff Gordon win at Martinsville in 2015, his last win like that.
Yeah,
not many people can ever say they were at like an all-time great final win.
One that really sticks out to me, and it had to do with like post-race stuff, was when Texas 2014, when Jeff Gordon and Brad Keselowski had their major brawl on the pit lane. Yeah, pit road. Yeah, sorry, I'm like you. I can't talk all of a sudden, man.
It's all good.
And what was funny about that is that I happened to have one of my school friends over, and he was like, "What is going on?" I was like, "Yeah, this is crazy." Blah blah blah. He had never watched a race like that. He just saw the fight, and I was like, "Yeah." So that was cool. We still talk about that sometimes.
I think one of my favorite ones, if we're talking ones that we've been to, and that's going to be the last super chat of the stage break. One of my favorite ones was probably 2012 Bristol night race, and being there when Tony threw the helmet and just seeing how hype it was. Plus, that race just had a lot of moments, and it was just a very entertaining one from green flag to finish. That was probably one of my favorite races that I have been there to see. Probably second would be the 2019 Bristol night race and that almost win by Matt DiBenedetto.
Yeah.
When a lot of us got to meet a lot of our friends in person for the first time.
Yes, that was a very, very fun one, very memorable.
That's what we all met for the first time.
Yeah, it is. I could have just said that. Okay, that was an awesome moment. Wait a minute,
weren't you wearing that shirt that day, Darian? I could have swore you were.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think you were.
I think I was though. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked.
That's a nice trip down memory lane.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll do it for the super chat stage break. We left off with Napa Racing Fan 927. We'll pick up with Irvin Alvarado when we come back. Moving on. Oh, dang it, my phone's going off. They just put us under some kind of warning of some kind.
I want to peek out the mic so bad, but I can't. And it's the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Jarrett, what do we have on tap for tonight?
We have a quick lightning storm, but it's a goodie. So there's a couple things here. First off, I saw that Myatt Snyder is going to be running 6 races for JGR's number 19, the Xfinity Series. That's a start. MBM is not going to be attempting the 2023 Daytona 500 this year, but I think we're still going to have over 40 entries, so the duels will matter.
I feel like MBM not being there isn't going to hurt the show. But
this one, I got tagged a ton about. Fox is going to do something really awesome. I know that we have to take time digging on them, but this is cool. They're going to be creating radioactives of races from the 2000s, the 90s and the 80s, and the first one they're doing, the 1998 Daytona 500.
So yeah, this one right here, and again, we talk about Fox a lot and how we feel about it. This has always been one of their best things ever. It is a collaboration effort between them and NASCAR Productions, but this is one of the best things that they do all year. So doing this is a W.
Then Michael Rooker, which many of you will know from, for me, 3 big roles. He's Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's Merle in The Walking Dead. And Rowdy Burns. He's going to be the Grand Marshal for the final race on the current Auto Club Speedway. So he's a huge NASCAR fan. When I met him at Walker Stalker Con, which was like a big Comic-Con for zombie movies and stuff, he had the Hendrick City hat. And we started talking, like, we talked maybe for 5-10 minutes about, like, Dale Jr. and Hendrick Motorsports. And, like, the dude knows his stuff about NASCAR. He is a legit NASCAR fan.
Yeah, legit fan. Not one of those fake celebrities that's like, oh, look at me, I'm at the races.
That, and his voice is, I love his voice. Of course, Kevin Harvick's been confirmed for the Fox Sports booth next year, so that's going to be
awesome.
Pretty
that's
good.
Awesome.
Jimmy Johnson is confirmed that he'll be racing the Chicago Street Course, and now instead of 5, it's shifted to 8 to 10. I know I have 5 down on here, but it's shifted to 8 to 10 races in Cup this year. I feel like Jimmy's like, he's got that itch back, except he didn't have the Mark Martin 2007-8 results. He might, maybe.
Now that he's back where he belongs.
Yeah, he'd come back. 3 more things here. Good somewhat, and bad. So the Truck Series now will have a digital dash, which a lot of the drivers I've noticed are really excited about. So that's pretty cool to see. This one,
this next one, I see why you said good somewhat, because this is only good depending on who you talk to.
Yeah, I feel like we can do a little mini segment here for a sec. Zane Smith will be running 6 races in the 38. So that's at the expense of Todd Gilliland, who's going to be part-time in 2023. I feel like they didn't give Gilliland enough time, but at the same time, those results compare. I mean, when you compare, yes, I know Blake Harris did really good with that team, but do not undersell McDowell's supremacy on this. When you compare to the way the 34 ran on average, like, it was night and day difference. And Zane Smith is a prodigy. Like, he is a I think he's a star in the making personally.
Yes, it was a night and day difference in terms of consistent performance, but he did give the team their first top 5 in quite a while on a road course. Yes, it was at the chaotic Indy road course. But I mean, hey, top 5 is still a top 5. But this the tweet he put out yesterday said a lot to me. As you guys have heard, I won't be full time in the 38 this year. It was a shock when they told me, and I am disappointed. So yeah, to your earlier point, that means that probably what happened was he has sponsorship for most of the races. Unfortunately, he couldn't make up sponsorship for those final 6. So Ford, obviously having high hopes on Zane Smith anyway, probably went to him and was like, hey, can you put together a 6-race sponsorship deal for this, and we'll let you in the ride. So, it sucks, but it's a business, unfortunately.
I believe it'll work out that Todd Gilliland will still run the full schedule this year. I think the most likely landing spot would be a Rick Ware car for those 6 races.
I agree.
Now,
this seems like the right one.
I'll ask this one because of the way NASCAR has made the playoff system, and this could come up. Very low chance, but it could. So he like had been going into the season that he would attempt all the races, and that he had pledged to attempt all Cup races. Say he doesn't get rides for 2 or 3 of them in the regular season, is he still playoff eligible since he said he would but then lost that ride, or because he didn't actually attempt them? Like, how does the rule go with that is what I'm kind of asking.
I think
we don't have the top 30 requirement anymore, do we?
No, but he still has to attempt the races. He has to attempt all the regular season races.
If NASCAR wants to strictly stick to their rules,
which they don't.
No, they don't anyway. So therefore, if you get to win, he'll be in the playoffs.
I don't. Not having a ride isn't a viable waiver reason. If you're sick, if you're injured, that's a waiver reason. This one isn't. But I'm not too concerned though. I feel like he's gonna get.
I feel like he will. Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not, Rick Ware has a lot of partners with just the team themselves. They just need a driver a lot of times.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if
But
he's got something.
But before we move on, I just want to point out that I personally don't think Todd Gilliland is like a terrible driver. I mean, you saw the way he performed in the Truck Series. I mean, he helped build up that same team in the Truck Series. So.
He still got himself into the show in the Clash. Let's not act like that didn't happen.
Hey, I said that earlier over both of the Keselowski Fords. So I mean, there is some talent there. It's just unfortunately just one of those business deals.
And then last one here. This is the bad. Another.
Let's have a moment of silence for this one.
Yeah. Another grassroots short track is on the chopping block. This time it's mine. It's my local short track where I grew up. The Rockford Speedway, after 76 years of operating, will be shutting down at the end of their racing season. It's tough because when you look at the scene, the racing scene in Northern Illinois, there are small dirt tracks, there are small little tracks that don't have major racing about them and major history to them for the most part. There are a lot around, there's, I believe, Sycamore has one near where I went to college. But I mean, for me, I'll say this, starting in 2024, when I go back up to visit my parents up in Illinois, it is not going to feel normal on a Saturday night to hear silence at night. Like that
first time in 76 years. Yeah. First time in 76 years.
Yeah. First time in 76 years that there'll be, there's a slap in the chat. The voices are calling to me.
I just said slap, scoot over the tent.
Yeah. Get the tent ready.
Yeah. I'm going to grow out the mountain man beard again, but it sucks. It really does. Cause I would, when I was a teenager, like my parents, I'll just say this, my parents would work night shift during the summer, in general, but during the summer, my brother would go when he was young to spend the night, or he'd go out, and stay at friends' places. So I had the house to myself a lot, on weekends as a teenager. And so being a teenager, I was, especially when I didn't have a car, I'd walk half a mile up to the Rockford Speedway and watch races at night. I went and I got to see awesome concerts. I got to see like Queensryche. I got to see a couple others. I believe Alice in Chains. I got to see there was a lot of cool stuff that track had.
They performed there.
Wow. Oh yeah. They I met LL Cool J at the Rockford Speedway. He was hosting a concert festival I was at with all these different rock bands.
Jarrett. Claudia pointed some out in the chat. I'm going to need to know when the trailer race is.
Oh, that's right.
Darian, look up Rockford Speedway. They have the entire racing schedule ready.
I will look it up. Do they have it separated
if you don't know what I mean by the trailer race, you guys can go on YouTube and look up Rockford Speedway trailer races. Basically, think about 12 to 15 trucks that have trailers, whether it's boats or cheap RVs that they get for dirt cheap, and then they just go around destroying them until they eventually have a winner.
Okay, yeah. So what's popped up on their official website is late models, sportsmen, short trackers.
You'll have to scroll a bit.
Okay.
I believe they have 2 a year, maybe 3. One of them I know is either June, July, and there's always one in August. But what sucks so much for some, because the thing that people don't realize is that Rockford, especially, they have it's an underground base, but there is a strong amount of racing fans in the Rockford area, and there's a strong history. Mark Martin, for instance, went for track championships against John Knaus and Dick Trickle at the Rockford Speedway. And Mark Martin, there is Mark Martin stuff commemorating him winning track championships there. Chad Knaus got his start as a teenager, souping up his dad's car, and the Knaus family is famous at the Rockford Speedway. You had so much history come out of there. Dick Trickle, a lot of his stomping grounds were the Rockford Speedway. And what sucks so much too is with Chicagoland being taken off the NASCAR schedule, and the Rockford Speedway shutting down. While there's the Chicago Street Race, there is no viable long-term major racing track in Northern Illinois now. And, yes, you can go to Road America. Milwaukee Mile is starting to come back. I know we have that on the schedule. But for fans in Northern Illinois and the Chicago area, if the Chicago street course doesn't work, which it doesn't even have to mean anything with the racing, it just means the politics of the city, there is a huge void there in that state where you're going to have to go out of state to go to good races. You're going to have to go to Iowa or Road America or Milwaukee or Indianapolis or up to Michigan. And it is something that is getting way too common. Like, at least when you can see in the Southeast and even in, the eastern, side of the country, that there's so many different short tracks that while it does suck that some get taken down, there's at least some that are close in the vicinity. And what's so bad about this is that I got to meet the Deary family who owned the track, and still owns it, I should say. And they were telling me that between the Rockford Speedway, Gateway, and Chicagoland Speedway, that they were the only three like major paved NASCAR supported tracks in any way in Illinois. And it's just it sucks on so many levels. I know that the surrounding buildings that are and companies that are owned around there by those invested in the speedway, they're shutting down in June. And I don't because it's not a real estate market from what I heard. It's just like it's a commercial.
Yeah, I haven't been to a race there, but I've been up to that area you're from, Jarrett, and I saw the speedway. It was right next. Like, we went to a Jersey Mike's. It was just right down the street from it. A lot of shops and restaurants and things all in that area. They're being developed, but they want to turn that into more of that.
So my brother had sent me an article that there's a rumor it's going to be turned into a giant Walmart.
Okay.
Wow.
That was what he
came
saw.
true today.
That's what he saw. Wow. I don't know if it's true. Okay, I just want to say that. And again, but my brother sent me that. I'm just it just hurts to see. It does because it's such a fun atmosphere. They put dirt on that track and had World of Outlaws come there. I'll tell you what, man, that was wild. As someone who was an asphalt fan, like asphalt racing fan my whole life, it was wild seeing that. My grandpa took me there when I was like 6 or 7, and that was my first experience being able to be at a racetrack and see racing right up close. Like,
yeah.
And that is the long-term problem fan-wise that the sport's going to see, is when you don't have those tracks to go to, when you don't have those tracks right down the road. I know that some people complained about noise, but generally, from what I could tell, that wasn't, when I talked to the Dearys, that wasn't as big a problem. Now, it could have changed in recent years, but people in the area were used to the noise. Like, it wasn't like Nashville where they're complaining about it. It wasn't like some of these other short tracks where they're complaining about it. So it's just unfortunate. I'm going to talk in circles about this all night.
But one more thing, and then we'll move on. This is a tweet.
Is it the trailer?
To my earlier one.
Do you have the dates of the trailer races?
So I couldn't find the schedule. Like it was blank when I pulled it up. It was blank when I pulled it up.
I'll look into it more later. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But this is from Alex Popini. He is a former champion at the track, and he had replied to my earlier tweet. First off, I'm a big fan of Black Flags Matter on YouTube. Thank you, sir. Secondly, I am a Rockford Speedway champion. Today is the second worst day of my life, right next to the worst, which was my dad losing his life on this very same track in 2001.
That's very sad.
And now, after 76 years, it's going to be totally erased.
All right, I got the schedule pulled up really quick on my phone.
Like I think of it like this. What you just said, that's sad for him to lose the place that he's grew up racing, but also sad. Like, that's one of the last places that, he had his dad. He saw that, and he probably like, felt connected to his dad by being there.
And now they're just gonna tear it down for a Walmart.
So here's what we got. There are two. There's the original trailer Race of Destruction, and that one has late models with it, short trackers, road runners, high school racing. Yes, there's actual high school racing that supports, that track supports. So that's going away too. But it's June 10th, Saturday night, June 10th. And then the other one, Saturday night, August 5th. So those are, your destruction, your trailer races, which are famous. That's just, man,
Enjoy
it
it.
just sucks.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Enjoy it while it lasts. Especially you, Jerry, if you can have the opportunities to go back there.
I mean, I'll be back up in town, so we'll
Okay.
probably
Will you be at will you be at the last race ever there?
I got to see when it is. I just turned off the
Okay.
schedule, but I again, I'll see. It's all a matter of scheduling and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I would want to be.
All right. Well,
that was the depressing end to the lightning round tonight.
a very depressing and extended. And that'll do it for this edition of the Lightning Round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And now, back to the show.
Well, as you know, we have a lot of great partners here on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. One of those great partners is our friends at Lionel Racing, the official diecast provider of NASCAR. Guys, you can go online and pre-order lots of great cars right now for your favorite drivers. There's plenty of them coming out from this year. There's plenty available from this past season. You can go ahead and order and get delivered to you as soon as possible. You can also check out their amazing selection of NASCAR Authentics available at most Walmart locations, oddly enough. But for this week's episode, I've got a pretty cool diecast, a new addition into our collection. The Chase Elliott Nashville Super Speedway win has just come in for us. Check out all the Ally purple and white confetti that got on that one. Pretty good representation of that car.
It's very detailed. Very detailed.
Yeah, really good detail. And I've got some actual confetti that I found on the ground and scooped up some. So we've got some confetti we can throw along with the diecast here. But that is a good looking Chase Elliott Nashville Super Speedway win in the Ally 400 from last year. Been to both races at Nashville, and well, now I got both of the winning diecasts from those races. So thanks again to Lionel Racing for getting this car to us, and also for sponsoring the show. We appreciate your support every week. Guys, let's get right back into it now. And we're been going into now a little bit of NASCAR playoff talk, our very too early playoff predictions. Jarrett's got it all broke down for the four of us, including Eric's information here. So Jarrett, what have us rascals agreed and disagreed on?
Okay, well, first off, I want to say what we agreed and disagreed on for the segment itself. I am not going to read 16 names 4 times. I am not going to read 64 names all the time. Not saying all separate. So we're going to split this up into 3 segments. Segmented segments. So we
caution break, everything.
So we're just going to go over the ones we agree, all 4 of us agreed on. Eric's not here, but I guess I'll try and talk on his behalf on some of it, or any of us can. But what we'll do is, all 4 of us, we'll just read that off really quick. I'll show you also, so there's some visual representation of it. Then we have some people we picked 3 of. And I'm just going to say this. I was a huge contrarian this year, and I know the chat's not going to be crazy about my picks, but we're going to go into it either way. And I'm going to try and talk these guys into why they should have picked some, and also Darian as well. There's also one driver that we split half and half. Me and Eric picked them to make it, and Danny and Darian. Or no, wait, yeah, me and Eric picked them, and Danny and Darian didn't. So that'll be really fun. And then after that, we have who got picked once by us. And those who picked them and those who didn't, which will be really fun. And let's just get right into it. I forgot to write it down just to make sure that I have it all straightened out. But let's get into the ones, and I'll read them off really quick, that all of us picked. We all picked these guys all to make the playoffs. Ross Chastain, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, AJ Allmendinger, Christopher Bell, then we got the 22 of Logano, Tyler Reddick, and Alex Bowman. Those were the guys that all of us picked. I think the most debatable, I would say the 3 most debatable that people would ask us about is picking Allmendinger, Reddick, and Bowman. Is there any of these 11, which is, I will say, is less than we normally pick? Is there any of these 11 that you guys want to do a take back of like, I take it back, I didn't pick them, I don't want to pick them?
None of those. I feel pretty confident in those. Bowman is my pick to win Circuit of the Americas, and that's the only one I've got him right as of right now predicted to win. AJ Allmendinger actually picked him to win 2 races, and it would be 2 back-to-back road course races actually. And Tyler Reddick, I feel like is actually going to have a great season with 2311 Racing, so I would not take back any of those.
I wouldn't take back any of them, but if I were forced to take back one of the picks, I think the safe pick to take back.
I think that's a better question. If you're forced to.
Danny, I'm sorry, bro. I gotta take out Alex Bowman. I'm sorry. If I was forced,
and I'm only picking him to be in there because I have him winning 1 race.
Okay.
If it's not for that 1 race, I think he'd be on the chopping block.
So is that your force to take out too, Danny?
If I was forced to take him out, yeah, I would take him.
Okay.
See, because
that's just because he's been good enough each season to get at least 1 win.
Yeah, I was thinking because because thinking hard about it, I mean, I didn't really see any other drivers outside of Alex Bowman, who I just picked, and AJ Allmendinger. But I feel like Allmendinger, I'm so confident about him on these road courses that I was like, nah, I don't want to take him out. But for Alex Bowman, this is basically a prove it year deal for him. It's like, it could either go one way or the other. I mean, he could, win 4 races out of nowhere, like in 2021, or he could just freaking lay an egg and just freaking disappear. And then, boom, he's out of the ride. And then Hendrick Motorsports promotes from within, or they go out and sign, some other Chevy driver or whatever. But
if I had to choose one, that I'm forced to, as much as Bowman is the mystery, AJ Allmendinger is not insured to win at the road courses. He's good at them, but if you remember,
there's a lot of competition. You
got to remember, like, how many road course races he raced in before going down to the Xfinity Series full time, and the competition now he's going against Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, especially. Reddick is really good at him. Ross Chastain is really good at him. So, Christopher Bell was up there. Cindric, I'm expecting him to improve on the road courses this year. So AJ would be the one who I'd be the most questionable. And if you force me to pick one to take out, it'd be AJ.
So another name I want to talk about that was on that list, Jarrett, because I saw some people asking us, are we sure about this person? Well, going to the new team, are you sure about Kyle Busch? What's your reasoning for it? My reasoning is that as of now, I had him wrote down as my prediction to win a Daytona 500, which would get him in right with that one. But also it's going to be a challenge going to the RCR. So, how confident are you guys that Kyle Busch will make it in?
I think this year is the Kyle Busch Revenge Tour. I mean, like, look, we've only ran 1 race, the Clash. I mean, yes, he got P3 on P3 on the podium, but still, I mean, I want to definitely revisit this a quarter of the way into the season, but I have a feeling that by the time we reach 9 races into the 2023 season, I think he gets at least 1 win. And I think he's motivated. This is a brand new opportunity. He's got a lot to prove. He was basically with Joe Gibbs Racing most of his career. I mean, a motivated Kyle Busch is scary. I don't care how old he is, man. I mean, he's proven us wrong time and time again. Just when you think he's down and out, or he, might be on the downward swing, then all of a sudden, boom, he comes out of nowhere. So I feel like Kyle Busch is the revenge tour in 2023.
I'm going to say, Tyler Reddick is a great driver, and I don't think he's anywhere near his peak. I still think that Kyle Busch is at the very least, at Kyle Busch's worst, is at the same level, if not maybe a little better than Tyler Reddick. I think that being stuck in a stale situation makes most drivers, like Kyle Busch was stuck in that situation, where it was getting more clear to him that he wasn't wanted at the team long term. It's going to affect your performance. A pissed off, motivated Kyle Busch, like Darian said, like Danny said, is insanely scary. I remember 2008, because Kyle Busch before 2008 was like a driver who got 1 or 2 wins a year, was a solid one, but everyone's like, he's going from Hendrick to Joe Gibbs Racing. At the time, we thought it was worse. It was probably a lateral move. Rattled off 8 wins.
When he was pissed off, he was motivated. He was pissed, bro.
Rattled off 8 wins. Okay, that's earlier Kyle Busch. You might say, okay, well, let's go a little further up. Kyle Busch gets injured in 2015, comes back, rattles off like
Yeah.
what 5 wins,
You thought
and does
he
what
was,
it takes to get the
nobody thought he was
championship
going to win
under
a
the system.
championship.
And well,
Nobody thought.
we can all
Yeah,
debate
nobody.
that one. We'll just put that. But look at 2019. You know, people were saying at the end of that year, hey, he's starting to fall off. He hasn't won a race since Pocono. He's not, you know, this, and this, wins a championship. So the thing I've learned about Kyle Busch, love the guy or hate him, you cannot ever count him out. You look at Richard Childress Racing, they're on the up and up in a lot of ways. Now, a lot of that was Tyler Reddick. So I mean, Austin Dillon honestly wasn't a slouch and hasn't been a slouch. He's been a mid-pack driver, and I think with the same equipment, Kyle Busch can take a mid-pack car to be a top 10 and win with some of them. If Austin Dillon can run up and get wins at times, there's no reason Kyle Busch can't.
Now, really quick before we move on, looking at some of the chat's predictions on the same topic,
Well,
I saw Logan.
Remember that these are the ones that we're just all agreeing on. It doesn't mean that we
yeah.
didn't say somebody isn't going to make it.
Yeah,
These are just the 11 we
yeah.
agree on, which I will say we usually get 14 or 13. So
Yeah,
it
this is only
shows
if
how
you're
even
forced.
stuff is.
This is only if you're forced. We've already picked this out, but I saw Logan in the chat had mentioned Denny Hamlin. He's like, what about him? Because he was inconsistent to start off the season. I mean, it was pretty bad. It was horrible. As a matter of fact,
he was pretty good at the end of the year, though.
Yeah, though he was able to finish though when it counted the most.
Yeah,
but yeah,
just watch out for Ross Chastain.
Yeah, just all it took was a Hell Melon move to.
He literally said in his show. I saw like a clip on Twitter where he goes, I am I like this the unluckiest driver? And I'm like, yes, Denny, yes you are.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
we've known this for a long time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, water is wet.
Yes, it is.
All right. What's next?
Next, we have 4 drivers that 3 of us picked, and then for 3 of them, I was a contrarian, and for one of them, Darian was a contrarian. And then we have 1 driver that's 50-50. So I'm gonna read them all off for you. First off, the ones that we picked, that 3 of us picked, were Chase Briscoe, Martin Truex Jr., Bubba Wallace, and William Byron. The one that split half and half, Brad Keselowski. Let's do the ones that we had 3 people picking to make it, but 1 said no. And I said I was a contrarian on this one. So we can go point by point on him. And I hate that we're doing this the week after the Clash with the Truex one, because I'm going to go with him to start with. I picked Truex not to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
And you guys
want to go into detail? Want to go into detail on that?
My detail on that one is this. Martin Truex Jr. has been slowly going down in performance over the last couple years. Now, last year, while he was top 5 in points, and he did have a good amount of top 10s, I believe he only had 4 or 5. Darren, you can probably double check for me on this one. 4 or 5 top 5s on the year. And you can be as consistent in the top 10 as you want. When you have less top 5s year after year, or at least, year over year at an older age, it's pretty evident that it means there's some regression. So that was my take on that. Now, I think he very well could win. If there's any of those 4 that are out.
4, by the way.
4 top 5s. 4 top 5s. So I'll put it like this. He had less top 5s and Chase Elliott had wins last year. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing about Elliott. Elliott had 5 wins, but you usually, if you're considered a championship contender, you should have more than 4 top 5s. I mean, drivers that finish 25th in points have 4 top 5s. So that was my thinking on Truex. The other one that people are going to get mad at me on because it's a Hendrick driver is I said William Byron wouldn't make it. Wasn't there a streak of 18 races he didn't get a top 10?
He was horrible. Yeah, he was horrible for a large chunk of that season.
Like as soon as Logano dumped him out of Darlington, he just went downhill after that.
Basically, and he already had the luxury of having 2 victories, so yeah.
Now maybe that was part of it. Maybe they were testing stuff. I can understand that argument
because that does happen. That does happen nowadays with the way the point system is.
William Byron. I always say this about people, like so and so is who people think so and so is. And I'm not saying this because I'm on Danny's channel. I'm just saying it straight up because of statistics backing it up at this point. A year or 2 ago, I would have argued otherwise because of potential. But at the moment, William Byron is the driver that people think Alex Bowman is. Like, William Byron has, performance-wise, been the worst Hendrick driver by a long mile. He's not Casey Mears, even though Casey Mears honestly wasn't terrible in 2007. But, he's not 2005 Dale Jr. or 2009 Dale Jr., 2010 Dale Jr. He's not Casey Kane at the end of his career. But William Byron is a driver who is incredibly streaky. And I think that especially, was it Martinsville that he led a ton of because you couldn't pass? He had the benefit of that.
That's
because
it. Yeah. And that was most of his laps led all season.
Logano was faster. Logano was beating the hell out of his bumper and couldn't move him. That rules package gets changed even more and it's easier to move people or speed matters, then I don't see Byron winning that race. Yes, he won multiple races. I get that. But you look at the inconsistency, you look at the downright bad performance he had. I couldn't justify putting him in the playoffs. Now, I don't want to hog the entire segment consecutively.
I think people are going to be surprised with mine. They're going to be very surprised.
Yeah, Darian, of Briscoe and Bubba, which one did you say no to?
Oh boy, I said no to Bubba Wallace. What?
Yeah, what?
The only black guy on the show saying no to Bubba Wallace?
I want to go in there with that. Me and Danny and Eric
and,
all put him in the playoffs.
And it's funny you said it because I actually have Bubba winning 2 races this year.
See,
I was at Kansas.
Yeah, look, here's the problem with Bubba Wallace. Obviously, we saw it during the second half of the season. I was arguing on the show, get him a better pit crew, get him, better, strategy calls and stuff, and he will get the job done. And he was able to. Here's the problem. This was during the second half of the season. And for the past 2 years, ever since, ever since 2311, became official, he's had high expectations. I get all that. It's understandable. Some of them, he's, brought them himself, and then some of it is out of his control. But I picked him to make the playoffs for 2 straight years. And there's an old saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, then you're just a fucking idiot. But the thing is that I need to see a season where it is nothing but consistency. Just one season. Like, all he has to do is a simple fix. Just run at the very least mediocre, because all we're talking about is top 16 here. So you don't even need to freaking run lights out. So he needs to be more consistent during the first half of the season, and then I think he'll be good. I'm still concerned about that. I know he was running up front in the Clash and stuff. That team has potential, but that consistency is still a major problem to me during the first half of the season. If he can perform consistently, then he'll make the playoffs, no problem. But right now, I'm out.
So I'll argue on his behalf on this one. The speed in the last probably, I don't know, I want to say 2/3 but that Kansas race, the first one, he was the fastest car out there at times. But the speed he had, especially in the second half of the season, it wasn't like in 2021 where it was like top 15 speed. He was top 5, top 10. The only thing that I really worry about, 2 things I should say I worry about Bubba Wallace with, and why he is definitely not somebody who I was concrete on. He was not in the first wave of people that I chose, because I had like 8 to 10 that I immediately was like, yep, they're in. He was not one of them. And he shouldn't be, because he hasn't proven himself and that team hasn't. That team needs to put a full season together. You talk about the consistency part. They start horrible. 2 years now, they have started horrible. Just with speed, with bad execution, just all around, not in any way looking like it should be, a professional grade team. The other thing is Bubba Wallace himself. His temper is going to be I should not say his temper.
Oh,
his temperament.
I didn't mention that. Wow.
His emotions can be the best of him, and it can be the worst. Mm-hmm. It's the biggest, push out there of why so many fans like him, because he wears his heart on his sleeve. Say whatever you want about him, he does, and he will tell you what he thinks. At the same time, though, we saw the absolute worst of it with Las Vegas last year, when he turned Kyle Larson at 170 miles an hour up into the wall, nearly took out another Toyota guy from the championship, and then tried to fight him afterwards.
And then at the Clash, I think we saw him do a good job of. So I will say he was definitely knocking Austin Dillon a lot in a turn, and I noticed that. And then shortly after that, Austin Dillon retaliated and sent him for a spin. Afterwards, I thought maybe there's a good chance that they might talk about it or even fight. No, Bubba controlled his emotions. He definitely looked like the kid who just got told he couldn't have McDonald's, but he controlled his emotions and just sipped on his water and just stayed in quiet afterwards.
But he was smiling before that camera shot had, like went live as well. So just to add more context to it.
I didn't know that part of it.
So yeah. So he was in good spirits. It was just
then yeah, he did a good job of controlling the moment there.
If he can act like that when things don't go his way, he can make the playoffs. He can make the playoffs.
All right, and then I'll go back to being the contrarian all over again. Then we have I did not pick Chase Briscoe to make it, which means
and that's fine because he started off very good last year, but then he went really bad.
So here's what worries me about Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe he showed at the end of the year, a brief stint he showed at the end of the year of being able to compete at a high championship level. He did. I'm not going to say otherwise. But that was a very small sample size. I mean, if we're in 2021, we were talking about Bubba Wallace, maybe he can take that step, and it took half the season to. The problem with Briscoe for me is I don't see him yet, and I don't see Stewart Haas racing yet. And I mean this in no disrespect. I don't think he's Kevin Harvick, which I think we all have a little bit of choice things about Harvick later in this segment. But he is not, in my opinion, going to carry that team to be a championship contender every year. I think that with Briscoe, I will say, of the three I said wouldn't make it, I think Briscoe's the most likely to make it. I think that he has the ability to be streaky like that. He can win at Indianapolis. He can win at Phoenix in the season. But he's in a similar boat for me that Byron's in. Very talented driver, very inconsistent. And just, to me, he has not proven that he can consistently be a playoff driver. Now, he can prove me wrong. I hope he does, because I think he's honestly a really good dude for the sport to watch. But for now, I've got him out. Now, this is where I really wish Eric was here with me because he could help me out. There was one other driver on that graphic. Two of us picked for, and two of us picked against Brad Keselowski. Me and Eric picked for Brad Keselowski. No, me and Danny did, I should say.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, I had him.
Okay, yeah, me and Danny did. And then Eric and Darian didn't. So, I've talked a lot. Danny, I want to hear why you picked Brad Keselowski.
The reason I picked Brad Keselowski is because I started filling out my who do I think is going to win each race. And I have Brad Keselowski winning the second race at Daytona. That's where I see him get in. But likewise, I think you take out what happened at that penalty after Martinsville, I think is what it was last year.
I thought it was Atlanta that he got it.
No, it was, maybe it was Atlanta.
Yeah, I thought it was Atlanta. I don't know. It was a big ass penalty.
So sometime around there, he got a huge penalty, and that pretty much ended the season. I think they've learned that doesn't happen. They can take things one race at a time. I think that they can maybe, in the long run, do well in points. But I have him winning that race at Daytona. I don't see him going the rest of his career without a win, and I could see him getting the win there at Daytona. So that's my prediction on it. I have him winning the second Daytona race, which would mean he gets in last minute. Maybe he's already in at that point, but I see him getting in either way there at Daytona.
I didn't choose him because I still feel like that team just has, they just still have a ton of work to do. And then especially with these other newer teams, already finding, immediate success as well. I do see an improvement in terms of their overall performance. Now, does that necessarily mean it'll translate to a playoff spot? I don't think so. I think he'll come up close to winning on the super speedways, but then one thing will happen or another, and unfortunately he'll miss it. But and honestly, I don't even think he'll be the best driver on his team again this year. I think Chris Buescher will once again be the number one driver.
So this is another one where 2 years in a row, so it might be shame on me on this one based on your logic, Darian. I'm going to say this with Brad Keselowski. He performed much better than that penalty showed. I'm not saying he performed well. He was, I think, his worst season since 2010. But I am also not going to pretend that Roush, or RFK as it is known now, is some great team right off the bat with him only getting in there a couple months before. It's not enough time to instill any change.
It's not a poverty team. I'll put it that way.
But what I'll also put is that you talked about Chris Buescher doing better, and Brad Keselowski performed better. Not great, but he performed better. Martinsville, people remember, he was the guy that Ross Chastain ended up getting into the back of for the Hail Melon. He finished ahead of Ross Chastain in that race. So, and I'm not saying that Martinsville is the end-all be-all, but what I'm saying is he had better speed towards the second half of the season. And I see Brad Keselowski as somebody who can adapt over time. And he's somebody who people forget. I feel like in a lot of ways he's like NASCAR's Russell Wilson at the moment. That big expectations going in.
Yeah,
he's leaving a really great situation that he spent his whole career with, and I swear to God, I'm turning into Colin Cowherd. But he goes to this team and stinks it up that first year. This year's the prove it year. This year's the year that it's either this is the driver you're going to be, or that was an anomaly. And the way I see it, I think he'll be a top 15 driver. I don't take the LA Coliseum as a big tell so far. I think, he ran up front at Daytona, led tons of laps. So he's going to be good at the super speedways. We have 2 more super speedway races as of last year going forward. And I think that he's going to improve at short tracks a lot. And I think some intermediates. So I think he's somebody who is going to be, like I said, probably top 15 driver, maybe like 16th, 17th, 18th in points. But at the same time, with that speed, he's going to be someone who I think who can flare up and get a win. Maybe at a track we're not even expecting either. He's a talented road course driver. Look at all the times he was up front at Watkins Glen. Maybe he wins the Chicago Street Course. So that's my take on why I think he should make it, or could make it at least.
Quick question: you just compared him to Russell Wilson, so does that mean we will be seeing high knees on the plane rides?
I don't think Brad's in good enough shape to do high knees like that. No disrespect.
So moving away from Brad Keselowski, I want to talk about a driver who this will be their first full-time season in NASCAR's top series. Basically ran a majority of the latter half of last season, has a decent amount of Cup experience this year, but now going into the proper full-time ride with Joe Gibbs Racing. We picked 3/4 of JGR to make it in. Jarrett, to my knowledge, none of us picked Ty Gibbs.
No, one of us did. No, we'll get into that. That leads us into the one picks.
Mm-hmm.
These are all the guys, and we can break it down by person that picked them. These are the 6 guys that each of the 4 hosts picked at least one of these guys to make it in. So the split with this, Darian picked 2 of these, Eric picked 1, and I picked 3. So Darian, since we're talking about Ty Gibbs, you were the guy that picked Ty Gibbs.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Why'd you pick him?
Look, you can say whatever you want about Ty Gibbs. And obviously, first off, my condolences to Ty Gibbs and his entire family. They're still going through a lot. And, obviously we're all going to respect their privacy on the tragic subject matter. But Ty Gibbs, he showed a lot to me over the weekend. I know it's a Clash, first race. Hear me out. Those final laps, I know it's the last chance qualifier. We've seen him take out guys time and time again. He could have dumped Chase Elliott, would have gone viral, would have, led to, blah, blah, blah. We have questioned his situational awareness because he did take out his teammate, even though he was locked into the championship race and his teammate could have been in the race last year. I think he's done a lot of maturing over the offseason. I think, obviously he's going through, a very tragic situation, but I feel like the most comfortable place for him right now is not only spending time with family, but being behind the seat of that wheel that him and his dad worked so hard to try and, get him up the ladder. Yes, obviously comes from, daddy's money, grandpa's money. You still have to be good regardless. You still have to be good. And he's still very young, still has a lot of maturing to do still, but I think he's on the right track. And I think this year we are not going to see some type of spectacular rookie season that rivals Jimmy Johnson or one of these young gun seasons like Kurt Busch, bursting onto the scene. I don't think that. It'll still be a learning curve because he did run a lot of races last year, which he will use to his advantage this year. But I still think he has a lot to learn with this next gen car. But Joe Gibbs Racing is still a good enough team, and he'll be good enough, I think, to at the very least point his way into the NASCAR playoff.
So let me counter on this one. The reason I don't have Ty Gibbs in is because I've predicted we get 16 winners in the regular season. I'm not going to rule out Ty Gibbs getting a win this year, actually. I would just see it coming in once the playoffs have started. And I just don't know if, I hate to say it's going to be hard to really bounce back from what happened. No one could deny that. It was hard there for a while for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2001. And, it took a while to get for him to get some good results after that. And, ultimately, yeah, he won that Daytona race, but I just don't know if it's gonna come that quickly for Ty Gibbs this season. I think he might win this year, but I think it'll come in the playoffs if it happens. That's my personal reasons on it. I see him having an overall really good season, probably several top 10s and top 5s. I just happen to think we're going to have 16 winners, and I don't see him being one of those in time.
I'll put mine is his performance last year in the Cup Series. Granted, different situation, wasn't going in the year knowing it, but he had moments, he had flashes, but it very much was a rookie-esque kind of campaign. I believe he only had like either 1 or 2 top 10s. He ran up front like at Michigan. He ran up, relatively close to the front at Richmond. He stayed out of the way. He didn't cause too much stuff aside from Texas. For me, I think that Ty Gibbs is going, I believe that 54 team was the former 18 team. And that team struggled with Kyle Busch. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't all on. I'm not saying it was all on the team. Kyle Busch, and the attitude problems he had towards the end, in the sense of just basically giving up. That definitely did not help that team whatsoever. But I don't think Ty Gibbs at the current time is anywhere near as good as Kyle Busch. And Kyle Busch was at points of the year like a 10th to 15th place guy. For a lot of the year, he was. So I honestly think Ty Gibbs will finish outside the top 20 in points. He'll have flashes. We'll see the driver he can be, but I don't see Gibbs being a playoff guy, because he's going to have to win his way in.
And Ty Gibbs, he's been great every series he's jumped into so far. But now he's at the top level, and he's going up against the most stacked competition he's ever went up against in his entire career at this point. So it's not going to be the same thing we've seen it coming from. It was obvious in these last 2 years he is a Cup caliber talent, but how many other Cup caliber talents do we have that we also know ain't winning anytime soon?
See, my logic with picking him over Bubba in the playoffs is based solely off of what team he's driving for. Yes, they have the alliance, but he is replacing Kyle Busch, and that was Kyle Busch's old team. Now it's rebranded from the 18 to the 54. I think that team has enough resources to where he can lean on his, veteran / sort of veteran-ish teammate, Christopher Bell. What is this? Christopher Bell is what, 3rd season in the Cup Series? 4th?
I think 4th.
Yeah, 4th, because his first season was in 2020, first full-time season, I believe. So yeah, 4th season. So he has a lot of teammates and data from the team within to lean on. And I think, again, you have to be at the very least mediocre to make the playoffs in certain situations.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we've talked a lot about Ty. I'm going to go into one of mine. I think I'll just do like every other. I'll just have Danny. Danny, you can argue on behalf of Eric's pick. But for mine, I'm going to start with one of my picks on here, and that is Austin Cindric. I was the only one that picked Austin Cindric. Cindric was, like, to a fault, the guy who finished 9th to 14th every week. And while I don't think that's something that is sustainable to get you into the playoffs with how evenly split the field is, I do think that he's going to improve this year. And he showed at times, especially on the road courses, that he can be a top-level guy. I think that with a year under his belt and with how well he ran in general, I think, Darian, did he get a top 10 in points last year? Or I know Suarez did.
Who?
Cindric.
Who
He was
Cindric.
up around that. He was in that range.
You're talking about last year's Cup Series points, correct?
Yes, Austin Cindric.
Give me a second. I don't think he did P12. So he was close.
So consistency wise, if you look at total points scored, and granted I did this with the old Winston format, so it was just off finishes, not stages. But
and also
just off finishes, he was 9th best.
And also 5 top 10s in total, or 5 top 5s and 9 top 10s in total.
Yes, and that's not sustainable. But unlike some of these other guys who have done it, being a rookie, that next jump to your sophomore season, I think Jeff Burton said you had to have about 75 starts or so before you really start taking off. Well, we're looking at Cindric. He ran 6 or 7 races in 2021.
A total of 43 starts. So 7 races in 2021. Then obviously 2022 is rookie season.
I don't think he's going to win the Daytona 500 again, but I do think he's going to improve as the season goes on. And if he's already a 9th to 14th place driver and that's the baseline, I think that he is in very good shape to improve to maybe, I don't think he'll run as consistent as Blaney or win as many as Logano, but I think he'll be somebody who's serviceable in that ride and who shows why he deserves a Penske ride. Yeah. So why do you guys think he won't make it?
Mainly because if it wasn't for that Daytona 500, I don't know if he was really showing the best results to me. He had his moments. He's definitely good on road courses, and I still give him that. But he's not been lighting them on fire like I thought he would be. Personally, I just don't have a lot of confidence in him in it. But I have more confidence that we're likely to see 16 winners this year. And when I feel like that, I'm like, I don't see where he fits in this one. I don't see him getting a win because we do have so much good talent in the field this year. And that's my personal reason for it. It all goes back and literally the same reasons I didn't pick Ty Gibbs. You can only pick so many people to win these races, and I don't have him or Ty Gibbs winning a race in the regular season.
Yeah, and again, I mean, it goes back. I mean, there were some times where, I mean, especially at the beginning of the season, where you were like, oh man, this might be next great Penske driver at times. But I mean, I'll go through the first quarter of his rookie season. Daytona 500 winner, 12th Montana, 19th Vegas, 24th Phoenix, 32nd Atlanta, 8th place at Coda, 20th Richmond, 11th Martinsville, and Bristol Dirt 16th. Now, if you take that win out of the equation, let's say he finishes second to Bubba Wallace, he would be 14th in the regular season standings after the first quarter. Then you go all the way down. He was at the his lowest point was after the Charlotte race, after the Coca-Cola 600. He was 19th in the standings, and for the rest of the season, was as high as 9th in the playoff standings and stuff. So, I mean, again, you take that win away. I mean, it's not a terrible rookie season. Honestly, that's basically a very typical Cup Series rookie season. I'm sure many rookies would love to have that type of season. I'm curious
because while he wasn't on the main team, he had JGR supplied cars. Tell me, what was Christopher Bell's year before Gibbs with Levine Family Racing?
With Levine Family Racing, give me a second.
Because I'm curious about that, because I feel like that's a good comparison. At least based on how they ran, it's very similar, and I think that Cindric can take that jump that that Bell took, because Bell was basically in a JGR car.
Okay, let me pull up Christopher Bell,
because that was the alliance. That was like the end of the alliance.
We're talking about the 2020 season, his rookie season, correct?
I believe so. Yes, when he was in the 95.
Yeah. Okay, so the stats are this: 0 wins, 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s, 18 total laps led.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
an average finish of 20.3 and finished 20th in
Okay.
points
Now,
for the
what
rest
was
of
it the next year?
2021, 1 win, 7 top 5s, 16 top 10s, an average finish of 15.8.
I don't see why that stat line couldn't be Cindric's stat line this year, especially with the fact that he laid down a better rookie year. That's my
year with his new
argument.
team. Second year with Team Penske, second full-time season. He's already gotten his feet wet.
And he's getting
too.
getting to that 70, 65, 70, 75 race mark that Jeff Burton and Steve Letarte have talked about, of drivers being comfortable during the season and getting better to that point.
But also too, let's not forget, there is also the infamous sophomore slump as well. So it could go either way there too. I mean, like, his slump might be 4 top 5s instead of 5 top 5. You know what I mean?
If you look in NASCAR though, sophomore slumps are I don't think are honestly as common as most think. So
no,
that's my argument.
Not recently.
We're gonna jump off a cliff. We still got 4 more drivers to go over. Danny, Eric picked. He was the only one of us, and I know the chat's gonna go wild for this one. He was the only one of us that picked Kevin Harvick to make the playoffs. So can you argue on his behalf why Kevin Harvick should make the playoffs?
Well, my hot take last week that he wasn't going to win a single race. It's kind of hard to ask me to do this. But if I have to argue for him, consistency is key, and he is consistently at least fast each year. Even when he hasn't won back in 2021, he was still uber competitive and up there a lot. I mean, this guy is hopefully going to be retiring at still the peak of his career. And he has, ultimately blossomed to be one of the all-time best of this generation, in my opinion. So for those reasons, I'm not surprised that Eric would have him in there. I didn't happen to have him in mind, but I'm not shocked to hear that he has him either. I don't really know if there's much more that I can say for Harvick. I mean, our chat would say that he's a doo-doo head cheater boy, but I digress. I think Kevin Harvick is still a great race car driver, and that's all the reason you need for Kevin Harvick to make the playoffs this year, if you believe in that.
Actually, this is really surprising. Some people already in the chat actually agree with the 3 who did not pick him, including myself, which sort of surprised me. Even one person saying his last wins were a fluke. I don't think they were.
I won't say they were a fluke, but I'll say he got hot for about a 4 or 5 week span, which I saw that coming. But at the same time, this is not the same Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, it fizzled out. I mean, he's a lot older, and also too, you look back on history. Swan song seasons usually never go out as planned. It's never that Cinderella ending. Outside of like a few. It's very rare.
Yeah, it's hard to get the Jeff Gordon retires in the championship 4. It's hard.
He's got his mind.
It's even harder to get a Peyton Manning retiring as Super Bowl champion.
I think like he's got his mind in other places now. He's already announced the Fox deal and stuff.
I think getting that out of the way and people know what's going into it is going to make this very clear. Like, hey, this is, if you're a Harvick fan, this is your goodbye season. Yeah. And if he's going into commentary, there's not going to be no, Jimmy Johnson is back all of a sudden because he's committing to this. Well, granted, we had that with Jeff Gordon and somehow, but I don't think it's going to happen this one.
Yeah, and also too, Spencer brought up a good point. He says Harvick is the last of the Winston era drivers full time. Yep, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And
I know those are a lot of the reasons I gave. Now I want to jump on the next one really quick before Darian gives his last one. I'm gonna say this, man. I am so surprised I'm the only one that chose Daniel Suarez to make the playoffs. Because Suarez go for it.
I debated a long time on him.
He's one of those bubble drivers for me too. One of those for me.
Suarez for me, he got so much better year over year. He's in a place that is building around him. I think that in my opinion, Suarez took a big step. I don't know if it's the step he needs to take, but he took a big step. He is, going to be, this will probably be the longest or tied for the longest. I can't remember how long he was with the other teams. Around the longest stint he's ever had with a team. And I think that he had chances to win last year and things just didn't go his way. I think they go his way this year. I think Daniel Suarez is a top 10 driver. I think regular season points that he could be a 6th to 8th place driver. I mean, you look last year, I believe he finished 10th in points overall. I think that he got better as the year went on. So that's my argument for him.
Okay.
Any
All
other
right.
argument against him?
No, I think that's good for me.
Yeah, I mean, my logic was just, again, it's just he was one of those bubble drivers, and we have such a stacked field as is as well. And again, like there were points last year where he was showing potential, but then he was inconsistent from times. He sort of played second fiddle to Ross Chastain from time to time. I mean, it's Ross Chastain, so it's really hard to beat him, but I think he'll be on the outside looking in.
Now, Darren, you had one other guy that none of us had. Who would that have been? Something like Justin Haley.
Justin Haley, yes, sir.
What
yes,
super
sir.
speedway did you have him winning?
Now it's not going to be a rain victory, but I got him winning at Talladega sometime this season. I got him winning.
Well, it has to be the spring Talladega then.
Yeah, not sometime.
Oh, yeah, duh. That's right, duh. So yeah, I have him winning the spring. I think he'll win the spring Talladega race. If he doesn't, then I think he can win the regular season finale.
But he does have 5 opportunities at super speedways in regular season now. So
yeah. New Atlanta. That's right.
See,
well, it's not really new anymore. But
I'll give my quick one before we get to the last one. But for me, with Justin Haley, to me, what I see with him is that he's in that area of drivers that has only had more drivers added to them. I know that Preece, a lot of people are asking where he's at, but I'm not going to judge off the Clash alone. I want to see what he does the first half of the season first. But Preece is in that same category. Allmendinger are racing for the same equipment. You have such a big amount of drivers that are in that like 15th to 25th range running each week, not points wise, but where they run each week and can jump up to the top 10 a bit. Or could jump, could go down and finish 30th and have a bad week. And I feel like he'd get buried over time in that.
I will say this because you mentioned Preece. I also debated on Preece a lot because while I don't have him predicted to do it, I will not be shocked if he pulls it off at Nashville Super Speedway because of how dominant he was able to win the last 2 years with that in the truck series. He's got 2 guitars for a reason. Mm-hmm. He's a good driver, and that is a track that he now has a lot of good memories with. I'd watch out for him at Nashville.
Well, let's get the last one done here, and that leaves my last pick that I was alone on, and that's Eric Jones. People, I think, are sleeping on the 43 team. Eric Jones was really fast at the end of last year. He had to speed a ton during the night or during the early part of the season.
Probably should have won Talladega if he hadn't made that dumb block.
He was up front at Auto Club. He had a fast car and got screwed because of crazy malfunctions with the pit gun at Kansas. And I think, he's not going to be the fastest out there. He's not going to dominate. But I could easily I easily see him getting at least one win this season. And I think that of any of these guys for me, I can see any of these other guys missing the playoffs for reasons you guys gave. But for Eric Jones, he is the one who is at the top of my list here of guys I think will perform better than pretty much anyone else on here. I think he is primed for a really good run this season.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, moving off that pretty much wraps us up there, correct, Jarrett?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was a very detailed playoff prediction thing. Good job, guys. That was awesome to talk about.
Well, I could help thank our next sponsor really quick for giving us that segment, and that would be. Oh, come on. It's not coming up. There it is. Forney.
Give it a second.
There we go. I want to thank Forney Industries. Get it done with green because Forney offers a full line of welding and plasma cutting machines, metalworking accessories, and more. For your do-it-yourselfers all the way to professional metal workers, Forney has everything you need for your next project. Shop Forney's top-of-the-line products at forneyend.com. That is forneyend.com or an authorized Forney dealer near you. Now, guys, we got one last thing. Danny, what do we have left? It's going to be a really short one, but what do we have left?
Oh, really quick. Did you show the Forney thing?
I got you.
Okay. I just saw the pick.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
What we got?
We got one thing to preview, and that is Daytona 500 qualifying. They will qualify for the Daytona 500 next Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Oh my goodness, that's the same time as we are usually on. Expect more about that a little bit later.
You'll see on the bottom line.
You'll see at the bottom line. Start time, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. You can get coverage on TV on FS1 and radio coverage on MRN. How is the weather looking for this one? Well, on Wednesday, we're looking at 78 degrees, clouds and sun, and a 25% chance of rain, which Florida in Daytona, you never know. It could come any out of nowhere. The defending pole winner for the Daytona 500 is Kyle Larson. Key note here, Alex Bowman has been on the front row for now the past 5 years. Does he extend it to be a record 6 years? We'll find out on Wednesday if he's able to do that. And that's pretty much it. Darian, what do you got? What? No,
There's
sorry.
no betting odds for it.
No betting for qualifying.
Yeah,
It'll be back.
I would just say Bowman is your favorite then.
Well, we don't have a graphic for it, but the chat and Eric are again up top, and the points tied with 10. And then there's Danny, you're -4, I'm -6, and Darian's in the basement -8.
This is basically where we were
again.
for a majority of the entire season this past year.
Bro, I suck again, dude. Didn't I finish last year?
Yes.
You see, sucking again, dude.
But hey, the distance to the basement is very close right now. You can come back from that.
But
all right, better not have another bad season.
I'll give Eric would pick first, but I'll give Eric's pick. He talked about a big storyline here and the Chevys being fast, so he put Jimmy Johnson as his pick.
I'm also going with Eric on this one. I don't know if Alex Bowman will be on the front row for 6 years in a row, but I do think the former driver of the 48, the driver of the 84, won't have to worry about what he does in the duels because he will qualify in on time because he will take the pole award for the 2023 Daytona 500.
I want to read 4 numbers. They have significance here. 6, 8, 15, 18. 6 is the amount of times that the team Alex Bowman races for has been on the front row the last 6 years in a row. If you include Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2017, which means driver or crew chief difference, that team's still up front. 8, the amount of years in a row that at least one Hendrick car has been on the front row. 15 of 18. The last 18 years, at least one Hendrick car has been on the front row 15 times. The only exceptions, 2012 and 2007 and 2014. So I'm going to go with the Hendrick car. I'm looking, the last couple of years, actually the last time, because the last time we had a team that wasn't even a Chevy was 2018. So I'm going to go with the safe bet on this one because while he wasn't the pole sitter last year, he was in 2021 and that team was in 2018. And that team was in 2011. I'm going to go with Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman is my pole pick this year.
Very fair.
Yeah. I'm going with the Hendrick car as well. I mean, it's qualifying, so I already put the my pick in the chat already. Chase Elliott.
What's the chat got so far, Danny?
I ain't really saying much. I've seen some 8, I've seen some 84, and I've seen some 48.
I've seen a lot of 84s.
I'm seeing more 8 than anything, actually.
Should we do a poll while we go into the final Super Chat stage break?
Might as well.
Yeah, I ain't seen as many for Bowman, so we're going to do Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson.
I should preface, I should have said before that whoever picks the pole sitter gets a bonus point.
So it is points. Points are on the line.
Yeah, I really didn't know if we were doing it or not.
Yeah, just a bonus point. Nothing major.
Oh, well, now we're seeing some more picks. Well, now we're seeing some 48s.
I'm going to still do the vote.
Yeah, because they were majority 848.
It's
84.
84, yeah. Go ahead.
But yeah.
So I put in a poll and it says poll for poll 48 or 8.
All right.
Well, let's do a Super Chat stage break then if we got to wait for them.
give you guys some time, and we'll run right through it. We last left off of Napa Racing Fan 927. We are picking up with Urban All Road. Appreciate that $9.99. This is in quotes. NWP rain weather policy. In event this stream is impacted by YouTube user's personal life or other unnatural phenomenon, your ticket is guaranteed value for makeup day in the future. Thank you. Luckily, we did not have to implement our YouTube delay policy tonight.
I'm sorry, really quick, Danny. You meant to put the 84, correct? It says 48.
Yeah,
just want to let you know. 84, basically. Yeah.
Sorry, he was not an option.
It's all good. We'll just.
Well, they put 48 as a wide margin. I think they meant 84.
84. Yep, y'all picked it already. It's over.
It's 84.
Yeah, 84.
Yeah.
They agree with you, Dan.
When's the last time we, without a joke, picked Jimmy Johnson to win anything on this show?
Gosh, because we started in 2018 as his.
Remember, we had the meme like we've led as many laps as Jimmy Johnson this year for the first half of 2018.
To be fair, they probably wanted that one anyways because they're tied of Eric. They might as well stay with Eric. So
yeah. All right, go ahead, Danny.
Picking up with Zachary. Appreciate the $2. Chastain didn't teach Dominic Mysterio the wall ride. Yeah, in the SmackDown segment, Rey Mysterio beat Dominic Mysterio. But Chastain didn't show him off that cool move. So it's unfortunate. He probably could have done that. Probably would have been the dirtiest trick in the game. Is this HelloFresh? It just says Hello FR. $2. Appreciate that. Should we get 2 dirt race, maybe both Bristol dates? Nuh-uh. I like dirt Bristol, but leave it in the spring where it's not impacting the playoffs. I think it's very fun as it is. Man Dude 03 videos. Appreciate the $2 Canadian. LA Traffic L for Eric not being here. Jupiter Rain. Appreciate the $2. Elliot already showing him struggling this year. Yep, he definitely struggled over the Clash. So we'll see if that takes. We'll see if that continues throughout the season, though. Bake the Snake. Appreciate the $2. Hot take shenanigans. Okay, shenanigans. Ross Crash Stain. Appreciate the $5. Shout out to Brett Moffitt as well. P2 in the Clash, beating out his new teammate, KFB. I guess he's talking about the new mustache. It looks very much like Brett Moffitt for Austin Dillon. I don't know how I felt about that mustache. What did you guys think?
I think he was trying to be Dale Sr. a little too hard there.
Oh gosh.
He's trying to be Dale Sr., but he was more like
the intimidator.
Yeah, he went more like Tony Jr. on that one.
If he can grow the beard back out by Daytona, I kind of recommend it there, Austin. Yeah. Groovy Goose, appreciate the $4.99. NASCAR fans equals an acronym for Negative Association of Stock Car Auto Racing. It's literally in the name in regards to NASCAR fans being negative. Bubba wins the 500, in my opinion. Ooh, that's a bold one.
Yeah.
Crash the Hedgehog 91. Appreciate the $5. Todd Gillen deserves better. I'm happy Zane Smith is getting time in a cup car, but he should have stayed in the 36 for his starts. It sucks. Well, unfortunately, that's probably the reason that Zane Smith is in the car. You got to have the fun. You got to have the funding if you want to be in a 36 car. Business. So that's why this has happened. We talk about that. It does suck, but that's the name of the game. Hunter Nixon Fishing, appreciate it. $9.99. I want to bench sevenfold to perform at next year's Clash. We talked about that. That would be very cool. Larso, appreciate the $2. If NASCAR wants to sell out, invite Taylor Swift. Well, they can't afford Taylor Swift. Sorry.
I think they can. They make billions.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They make billions.
They make billions, though, bro.
Yeah,
why wouldn't they be able to afford her?
But if they've,
she wears short skirts, I wear sneakers. Right, go ahead.
So that's how we know we grew up with old Taylor Swift.
It's like the only song I know.
Triple P Productions, appreciate the $5. I say bring the Clash back to Daytona on the road course. Do a multi-class race for playoff drivers in top 3 series.
I'm good.
You wasn't there in person. No, you wasn't there.
Well, he might have been. We don't know.
Or right, maybe.
I don't know if I like that one, man. And Martin fan for life. Appreciate the $4.99. LA can't be a points race. There is no viable pit road. Again, they'd probably just have to run it like they did the Clash and just give them a halftime, basically.
Same format.
Man Dude 03 videos, appreciate the $2 Canadian. Dodge Raceway Stadium for the 2024 Clash. Yeah, let's do that one. That track in and of itself is a little bit bigger than what the Clash track is, because that track went on the outside of a football field, not in where the football field goes.
Yeah, true.
Need for Speed 5353. Appreciate the $2. I'll give you one guess as to what he said.
Go for it.
What? Go.
Race Ty Dillon.
Of course. Of
Right.
course.
All right.
It's nothing. Appreciate the $5. Side note, it's nothing. Very underrated content creator. Suggest you go check out some of his videos. Weekly question, part 1. What was the last track you visited? How was the experience 1 through 10? Last track I visited was Bristol Motor Speedway. Always a 10 for me when I go to Bristol. Show was pretty good. I was working it with Claudia. I enjoyed my time there. So what do you guys have to say?
Talladega.
For me, for NASCAR Talladega and just for racing in general, the fairgrounds, 30 minutes away from me. Both 10 out of 10. I enjoyed.
I blew my guts out with the big one.
Oh God, that's right.
$18 spaghetti and giant ass meatball.
It was worth it. It was worth it.
Over shredded pork over chicken, and it's all in a meatball. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it.
That's true.
Oh, it wasn't.
It is not worth the gut bomb.
Spanky G, appreciate it, $2. Darian looks like a Goomba.
I don't know what a Goomba. I'm gonna look up Goomba. What's it?
Man, dude, 03 videos, appreciate $2 Canadian dollars. He said this just because Eric isn't here to hear it. Chaos.
Was it spelled GOOMBA?
Yes.
Yep, that's the Mario character, the little Mario characters you step on.
I was thinking he looked like what's his name?
Funny.
Corbin Blue from High School Musical.
Or no, jumped in.
Like 29 down.
Groovy Goose, appreciate the $1.99. Like the new format, very professional.
Hey, thank you, man. Hey, we're trying to make improvements. Hey, off season. Hey, we're not just scratching our asses during the off season. We're trying to make improvements here. Appreciate it.
I don't want to visualize that.
Marky Mark, appreciate the $5. Fox is all about the giggles, already ready for NBC. Oddly enough, his profile picture is an actual fox. That's funny.
A fox on Fox crime.
Levi Scones, appreciate the $4.99. Hey Fox, pick somebody funny to do driver intros next time, not somebody promoting a comedy that will get canceled after a season.
Yeah, it's true. It's
true.
Dave Chappelle. It's true. Yeah, Dave Chappelle, bro. It's true though.
Blake Feeman, appreciate the $4.99. Jarrett, we doubled Brock Beard's view count with the raid last week after the stream. He was super appreciative of the support we gave him. That's a great idea that you guys did that.
What was the stats?
I think it was like around like 85, 90 concurrent, and we got it up to like 230. And
yeah, I love Brock.
Stream raid.
Let's do that as a tradition of my post race streams. We'll do that.
A very positive stream raid. I've seen very negative stream raids, very toxic ones.
I'm taking inspiration from Grassi.
There you go.
Yeah.
Andrew Meyer, appreciate the $5. The thing that scares me about the idea of the LA Coliseum being a points race is that NASCAR has probably made up their minds on it already.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like the Chicago deal was pretty much set in stone long before it was announced.
We had heard rumblings about it long before. So you're right.
Cousin Rowdy, appreciate the $1.99. Liking what I'm seeing for the 8 team so far. I bet you do. NASCAR Sun 2414, appreciate the $1.99. Should the Clash have no halftime, have caution laps? I guess he's talking about should the caution laps like count for the race? It would get over very soon if we did that. But
you would need more laps, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe
they would need that. They would need that.
And
they need to put 50 more laps onto it. It should have a halftime. They need a halftime just in order to service the cars.
Various artists, that sort of thing. So
I used to do it at the Bud Shootout back in the 2000s.
Yeah.
10 minute break. Yep.
Travis Knoll, appreciate the $4.99. Retiring after winning a championship. We do that all the time. Regards, anybody who plays NASCAR Thunder career mode. Oh, yeah, because that would happen a lot. They'd win a championship and then immediately retire.
Yeah, that's it.
NASCAR 48, Justin Herbert, appreciate you for renewing your Danny B Super Fans membership for 24 months. I appreciate the monthly support from that. Means a lot to me. Ross Crashtain, appreciate the $5. What's the difference between Kyle Busch and Pablo Escobar? No, silly. Escobar raced cars as well as an amateur in a Renault Cup.
Oh my god! No, I know what this is in reference to.
Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say on that one.
Yeah.
SD Eon, appreciate the $2. Hamlin got Chastain. Yes, he did once again, as he has many other times. Hunter Nixon Fishing, appreciate the $9.99. What Harvick y'all think shows up this year? Ready to ride off in the sunset, or screw it? If I gotta wreck you to win, I'm going to. I would lean towards the one who he's got it under control. He's got his plan set. He's gonna, if he wins, he wins. He's not gonna hurt you to get it. But he knows what he's doing next year, and he's just gonna ride out this last year.
Yeah, just ride it out. Ride it out. I don't think he'll make the playoffs, but hey, I could be wrong. So we could all be wrong.
Napa Racing Fan 927, appreciate that $2. Takes on the Fontana reconfiguration. What replaces it in 2024?
Short track.
It's funny that it took so long for this to happen. It seems like we heard about this supposed to have happened years ago now at this point. COVID ultimately delayed it a lot, and then other reasons has delayed it. What replaces it next year? I hate to say it, probably the LA Coliseum.
Well, I mean, the one that I saw a lot of people talking about, just race fans in general, and I don't know if they'll do it, but the one I saw people bringing up would be an option for NASCAR to do a doubleheader as Long Beach.
I would love that'd be intriguing.
I mean, I've seen stuff about that. I've even I go down the rumor mill and look at different stuff, and there's people that the fans of Sebring are really wanting to race there. I don't know if they do it, but and that wouldn't be in the market. But there's a lot. I think there's a lot of options. It's just NASCAR's holding their cards tight at the moment because it is a NASCAR ISC race.
Or if ISC is willing to give it up for one, we could bring back a track that had 100,000 people show up in Road America at some point.
Yeah. We
can less than 2 million watch it on TV. I think that's the problem.
No, we cannot do that. go back.
Darian's just hemming it on.
No, we can go.
Look, we'll give him the worst weekend of the year. Just put him somewhere if we need another track.
Give him an off week. No.
Me and Danny are the devil and angel on Darian's shoulders, trying to bring him one way or another.
Which way are we gonna go?
But that'll do it for the rest of the super chats. I appreciate everyone for your support on this show. It's been a long show, but still not our longest shows ever.
No. I mean, it's one of those off weeks. You had to fill in the time and stuff. I think we filled it in.
We got the upcoming shows on the bottom there, which by the way, that show on February 15th is 5 years to the day that me and Danny jumped on February 15th, 2018. Would it be 5? Yeah. 5 years.
Yep. And to commemorate it, I'm planning to have a camera where I'm like this. I'm gonna shave all my hair off again just to look like it. Just kidding. No, I'm not.
I'm gonna somehow get back into my 2018 marathon shape and lose 30 pounds in a week.
Oh my gosh. Dude, that was crazy, dude. And how many people were watching? What was the peak viewership?
And I'm pretty sure both of those was just us had the chat open, and maybe Claudia was watching.
I think my mom tuned in at one point.
Humble beginnings.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Oh,
right?
Macwell.
Hey,
Macwell.
Shout out to McQuell and
McQuell. Excuse me, not Mac.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
he's an Alex Bowman fan, so I'm pretty sure he enjoyed what he saw in the Clash a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, if my pick's correct, he's gonna be with you, Danny, enjoying qualifying.
Yeah.
Which Eric will be back next week. We're gonna be on his channel. We're gonna take over his channel. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
We're gonna take it over. I'm sure by next week he'll be out of the
LA
traffic.
We are the new host of Out of the Groove.
Yes, we are Out of the Groove.
Yeah, don't you see that logo that's totally down there?
We own the rights to that logo now. We bought it today. We patented it.
I think we're gonna have to get the heck out of here. This is getting out of hand.
This is all a joke. Eric, we look forward to having you back next week. We look forward to being on your channel.
Yeah, but good show tonight, guys. Yeah, good show. See y'all next week.
I think we got everything covered. I mean, we had all of them on the bottom. We're gonna be right after qualifying. That's what we need everyone to know. It's right after qualifying.
Just basically, we'll have it on in our offices where we do this, and in the second that they're done, we're gonna hit go live.
Also, one final thing too. Just want to point out, no worries this year. No swampy womp internet this year. no lagging, nothing. Yeah, no swamp house, nothing like that. No more.
Oh, and we'll be
good.
I'll be doing commentary this Friday night So
Oh yes,
that'll
that's
be-
right. The debut of the NR Cup Series, correct?
Mhm.
Is that the name of it? Yeah.
Yep. And then
Be fun.
all of Speed Week, I'm gonna be streaming after every race, so it'll be fun. Should be fun. We're gonna have all of us have a
Yep.
lot of cool stuff planned. You guys got
Yeah.
to see. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yeah, good times ahead.
you know what else is
Alright.
great? That intro and outro that Jet made us.
Yes.
Yeah, let's
great.
watch it.
Yep,
All
let's
right,
roll it.
cool.
Great show tonight, y'all.
right.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Thank y'all so much for watching. Goodbye.
Go get us a W. Hell yeah. Ready, green. What the copy? Right foot down. We had to go flat. Unbelievable, man. Way to keep your head in it. Holy oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. What? Yeah. I'm done with it. It's your face. Set sail. Steve, you look beautiful. Doing great. Ridiculous, man. Holy. You see that? Holy cow. Good job, man.